All right, what's going on, everyone? Well, when I say everyone, the whole one person that is here watching right now. Real quick, for everyone who's here, well, now it's back. Now the count is back down to 0. What do you think? Should we wait till we get some more people in here?
It's up to you, whatever you want to do.
All right, I think we'll do just that. We will wait for a couple minutes here until more people start to show up. So, a good little way to do that, kill a couple minutes is where is it at here? Where is it at? Let's put up sad Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, man, fuck that. I hate that guy, man.
Well, the thing is, and I don't want to get like too political or personal here, but believe it or not, I don't dislike Aaron Rodgers because he's a good football player or even because he's a Green Bay Packer. I dislike him for certain comments that he made a while ago that had nothing to do with football, and I'll just leave it at that. So I like to see the guy in misery regardless. But of course, you know, being a Bears fan, I always love it when there's misery for the Packers. So I'm sure you understand. I'm sure you get that being a Falcons fan. And I don't know who in the NFC South do you guys rival the most?
No, that's easy. The Saints.
Saints. I was gonna say the Saints, or let's see, who else is a part of the South?
Well, you got Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought Carolina was in the NFC South. So let me see something here real quick. Okay. Oop, little echo. I've got this streaming not only on YouTube, but another platform as well. So I was just double checking to see how that was going over there. All right, well, I guess we can go ahead and get going. It looks like we have about 2 people in here, so that's good enough to get started. So,
well, first thing, just get that trash off the screen.
Yeah, good call. Good call. All right, so what is up, everyone who happens to be watching on either platform? I am NDSean45, and before I welcome my guest officially, even though he already made himself known, so yeah, I am back here with a Wednesday night live stream, kind of on a roll because I haven't really been doing much with my own channel here. But if you guys haven't done it already, whether you see this now or see it on a replay once this stream is uploaded to YouTube, make sure you guys go and subscribe to my other show that I do with my buddy Ben over at the Two Irish Brothers. We haven't done a lot on that channel lately, but that's because of, well, my surgery and certain things on Ben's end of things. But we will be back with content over there shortly. So give us a sub, give us a like. We sure would appreciate it. But on to matters here. Welcoming in my guest. You guys know him very well. Please welcome the one, the only, in my opinion, Georgia's best fan, Magnum. What's up, buddy?
Well, hell yeah. I like that intro. Georgia's best fan. I dig it.
People could make an argument for that, but in my opinion, there is no argument. You are the most passionate Georgia fan I have seen. There's been some other ones that come close, but man, back in the day, you always brought the passion. And even though you've mellowed out, that passion still is deep inside you, buddy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mellowed out as far as, getting on camera, just going ape shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I still watch every game. I don't miss a game. And over the years, all those, heartaches and, to finally win the national championship this year. I mean, a lot of people don't know, but you literally called me right as the game, was ending. And, well, you heard me over the phone and how I was sounding.
Yeah. And that's how I was going to bring you in is I know it's been it's been a few weeks now. We're almost to February, so it's you've had that time to really process and savor the flavor. But man, 40 years is a long time for a team to go without a championship. I mean, just even though I called you, walk me and everyone else who might be watching through that night when Georgia won it for you, because I was watching on another Georgia fans live stream that night during the game, but of course I had to call you when it was all said and done. But what was it like to experience it in the moment for you?
Well, I mentioned this on BBD show, and I'll mention it here. Once it got to halftime, I mean, yeah, it was still anybody's game. It was only 9-6, but I deep down I had some doubts because the first half we really struggled to move the ball. We did have a couple drives where we got 2 field goals, but other than that, I mean, we really couldn't move the ball at all. We held Alabama's offense to field goals, but I mean they were moving the ball at least. So I mean I had my doubts going into halftime. Like nothing told me that we were going to have the fourth quarter we had before that. Third quarter, rolls around. We pick it up a little bit, start doing really good, and then the fourth quarter it was just we just went slap the hell off. I was really nervous when they ruled that a fumble. When Stetson Bennett, to me, it was clear that the arm was going forward. To me, it was an incomplete pass. They ruled it a fumble, and Alabama got the ball on our 16-yard line, I believe, and immediately Bryce Young throws a touchdown pass. And at that point, I'm like, oh, my God, no, not again. That was the first thought that was going through my head. And then I guess, Stetson Bennett, something clicked, and then he just went slap the hell off. Threw that great ball to A.D. Mitchell for the touchdown, and then followed it up with a touchdown pass to Bowers. And then, of course, Keely Ringo sealing the deal, with the pick six. Of course, most Georgia fans now are referring that they're calling it the Ringo Six or Third and Ringo, because Alabama fans, they love to bring up the 2nd and 26 on us from 2017. So I'm dubbing it. I'm just calling it the Ringo Six. I mean, third and Ringo sounds good too, but I just call it. I'm just calling it the Ringo Six. But when Ringo sealed it, that's pretty much when you called me, and I was all up in my emotions on that one because that sealed the deal.
Well, and the thing is, I had to wait a little bit to call you because I noticed that I wasn't really sure which way I was in terms of delay, because the stream that I was watching, I was quite ahead of the guys who were watching the game on that stream. And so I wasn't sure how far ahead of me you were or how far behind me you were. So I gave it a couple minutes. And so that I didn't want to, because I didn't want to spoil anything for you in case I was ahead of you on coverage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at that point, like once the Ringo Six happened, and I mean, it was just, especially living here, like, dude, I mean, it was damn near midnight, and I heard everybody on the street screaming, dude, like, no shit. People around, like, well, not just here, I imagine around the state of Georgia, it was just like I could just picture every Georgia fan going nuts in that one moment. I mean, I heard some people, like, they woke up, some of their family members and shit like that, but I don't care. It's been a long ass time since we won a national championship. Hell, I didn't go to bed till like 2:30 that night, and I had to be up at 5:30 for work the next morning.
And I'm sure that's the one time where you didn't give a shit if you were.
Oh yeah, I didn't give a shit.
2.5, 3 hours of sleep.
No, I didn't give a shit. It was worth it.
Well, I can tell you this, going back to Ringo, this might sound a little cheesy, but you think of the Beatles, and everybody is saying, hey, Ringo's not the best Beatle. Well, on this night, Ringo was the best.
Yeah, that was a huge play. I mean, people had to see it, but Kirby was telling him to get down. As he's running it back, Kirby's yelling at him, motioning him to go down, and as I'm seeing it, I'm just like, go, because he scored. That sealed the game,
yes,
that put it out of reach. If he would have went down, and let's say we don't even get a first down, Alabama could have got the ball back and got a touchdown and tied it, with a 2-point conversion. So the pick six, I mean, that was the correct call in my opinion. Like, just keep on running.
No, if you make a play and you see a lane, look. I never encourage players to disobey their coaches, but in a situation like that, that's where you say, "Screw it, I'm taking this in. This is my time. I'm sealing this off for us."
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, I know our defense has been playing. We played great all game, and looking back on it, if it wasn't for that bullshit call where they ruled out a fumble, that was Alabama's only touchdown, and they got the ball on our 16-yard line. Without that bullshit call, Alabama don't even score a fucking touchdown in that game.
Yeah. I mean, especially after that first half, I wasn't sure how that game was going to go. I mean, because you go back and you watch that first half, and the only thing going through my mind is that Alabama and Georgia fans might take this as an insult alike, but I was just seeing shades of the national championship game between Alabama and LSU, where it was like a 9-6 final. I'm like, damn, how could this thing go?
Well, that was that first game between the two of them. Now, the national championship game between the two, I think Alabama won that 21-0.
Oh, I'm talking years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the 2011, they played twice that year.
Okay, well, I just remember there was one game between the two where it was like 9-6 or something like that. It was all field goals.
Yeah, that was the first time they played.
Okay, because I was thinking it was a national championship, or it was a big game regardless, but I thought it was in the national championship.
Now the national championship game, I mean, Alabama just pretty much whooped that ass because if I remember correctly, I don't think LSU even crossed the 50-yard line.
Yeah, that's right. I guess I got the games mixed up, but yeah, that one game was boring as hell, the 9-6 game. But you got to have respect for defensive battles, though. And real quick, we got to show you this comment. Longtime viewer Cold as Brian, big time Notre Dame fan. He says, "I always take the day off after national championships just in case Notre Dame gets in and wins." Yeah, I would too, but we gotta get there first. And then he says, "I'm on the record for calling Georgia choke artist after they lost to Bama again. So kudos to them for getting over that hump."
All right, well, hold on now, goddammit. Like, let's not start calling Georgia choke artist when Notre Dame is pretty much is in the same situation. They can't win big ones.
Man, I knew the gas was going to get thrown on the fire. I probably shouldn't have shown that. No, I'm on record saying the same thing, dude. Not taken away from our discussion and talking Georgia's moment here, because they deserve the moment. But yeah, I've been saying the same thing. I mean, I said the same thing after the Fiesta Bowl and how we just let that slip away badly. I mean, when you see shit like that happen, we deserve the criticism. And I mean, and look, I get it. We were at the time, we're going through a coaching change, but it doesn't matter even though things aren't completed with the staff and all that, and you're going through a big,
you got to overcome adversity, man. That's where,
yes.
That's where great teams separate themselves from good teams. Georgia, for example, dude, we went through so many injuries this year. To start the year off, we were without Pickens and Blaylock and Washington and Kearis Jackson. We was without our top 4 weapons to start the year. Now, this was before, Brock Bowers broke out and became the monster he was. He's just a true freshman. But, we had injuries all throughout the year, and we overcame that. It's like the really national championship teams, they find a way to overcome adversity.
And
that's the best way to put it.
I am so glad you brought that up too, because after the game went final and there were zeros on that clock, Georgia's the national champions. On the stream that I was watching, this is what pissed me off. This pisses me off no matter whether it's Notre Dame or any other team. You had a couple Bama fans that started with that crap. Oh, we didn't have this guy in. We didn't have that guy in. He was hurt. That was hurt. And you said it right there. How many guys were you guys without?
Well, and it's not just that, We do it, and Alabama does this every year. They brag about their recruiting classes. It's like, well, if this guy goes down, we got this guy coming in. It's like, okay, you've got all these 5-stars, and just because they didn't step up, let's hear those excuses, dude. Like, it never ceases. I mean, I know a lot of Alabama fans on YouTube. They haven't been doing it. It's really your casual fans you see on social media making these excuses, like for Law Tide. He wasn't making excuses. I got a ton of respect for Law Tide, but most of your Alabama fans, they never give credit to anybody. It's always excuse after excuse after excuse, and that's exactly why nobody in the fucking world likes Alabama except Alabama fans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can see your point on that. I can. And it's it goes back to me and our situation with Notre Dame. I mean, yeah, I went off on us, because like I was going to say earlier, you can't, despite all the circus that was going on and the coaching change, you can't hold a 28-7 lead and you end up losing by 2. I mean, yeah, I got on us about that, but I never said that Oklahoma State wasn't a pushover. I gave them credit because they came back and they found a way to win that game over us in the Fiesta Bowl. So that's the thing. If you can't give, even if it's a rival that you despise, if you can't give them credit for what they do, then that shows your true character, not only as a fan, but as a person.
Hold on. I see this other comment this guy left. He says he was furious when Georgia lost and got in, but they earned it. Okay, now I've heard several people say that, but Georgia's a team that literally went through the entire year blowing out everybody, and by everybody, I mean every fucking body, and they lose one game to Alabama, and people were like, oh, they don't deserve to be in. I'm sorry, but last time I checked, Georgia spent most of the year ranked number 1, and you want to say because of a conference championship loss, they don't deserve to get in? Nobody can convince me that Oklahoma State, no offense to you, or Notre Dame or Baylor, none of those teams would compete with Georgia. Look what Georgia did to fucking Michigan, a team that won the Big Ten. We boat raced their ass. And then we get Alabama in the national championship game and beat them. Like, and also, I'm just so sick of people thinking one loss should eliminate you. I'm tired of that.
Well, it's not like, I will say this, it's not like they lost to, the 15th ranked team or the 20th ranked team. Alabama, I believe they were number 3 at the time, number 3 or number 4. So it's not like you lost to a slouch here. And I got to ask you this question, Magnum, because I know you heard it, and I think you did give a response somewhere else. Maybe it was on a Facebook or Twitter or whatever. But what are your thoughts on the whole controversy that Alabama or that Georgia threw the SEC championship to Alabama just so 2 SEC teams could get to the Final Four?
That whole spiel. No, I don't believe it. Number one, there would have to be too many. There would have to be too many people involved for something like that. And if there's one thing we know, if multiple people were in on that, it would get out. Like the whole coaching staff or players, they wouldn't be able to keep that a secret. That shit would get the hell out. So I don't buy the whole conspiracy thing. But what I do buy, and you may remember this leading up to the game, our team was suffering from the flu leading up to that week.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Our team, like the flu was running rampant, with us. And when we played, if you watch it, we had no energy. We were flat. And so my theory is the flu was really what affected us. I'm not buying the whole conspiracy we threw the goddamn game, but I think the flu is what done us in. I mean, because that was not the same Georgia team we watched all year. And then, of course, we see the playoffs come around. We blow out Michigan, and then our defense makes up for that game against Alabama and dominates them. So I'm under the full impression that the flu got us in that game.
Well, and anybody who's had the flu, you know what it does to you. You have a bad fever. You can hardly walk because your body is so drained and so sore. And what more do I need to say? So,
Yeah,
kudos.
the people that are throwing out the conspiracy shit, that's just the people that they really want to, I guess, hate on the ACC or SEC. I'm sorry, but I don't see. That's another thing I don't buy. The whole, the playoff committee. They purposely try to get 2 SEC teams. No, shut that shit up. I am tired of hearing that shit from people too. I mean, losses happen. It's not uncommon for a team to, go undefeated and lose the conference championship. It happens quite a bit. We just lost that day, but I will say that I think the flu affected us in that loss.
Yeah. And even Coldest Brian here saying there's no way Georgia wanted to lose to Bama there.
Oh no. I mean, because up until that point, Nick Saban, he's had our number, and damn well those players were wanting to get that monkey off their back that day. Unfortunately it didn't happen, but I guess I would much rather win the national championship than the SEC championship.
Yeah. And nobody's gonna blow any kind of championship game, whether it's national or the conference. I mean, did Kirby Smart just decide that the trophy case was too full? I mean, come on.
The whole conspiracy, and I don't buy that. That's one of the reasons why I've taken myself out of a lot of sports groups on Facebook, and I've unfollowed several different sports publications as well, because there's just so many dumbasses out there, man. I've got to where I hate most sports fans. I really fucking do. Just the sheer excuses and dumbassery you see, it's just, dude, I can't take it.
Well, and speaking of that, how do you feel about the people in your own fan base that are still dogging Stetson Bennett?
They can go fuck themselves and get out of this fan base, because all season long, and you follow me on Facebook, so I've had Stetson's back all year. I've told everybody that this is the guy that can get us a national championship. And what do you know? Long and behold, he's the offensive MVP in the Orange Bowl and the national championship game. And we still have people bitching and complaining, saying they want him gone. And to those people, all I got to say is turn in your dog card and get the fuck out. Simple.
What more do you want? I mean, it's like I've said with Notre Dame fans, and I know it's probably when you're trying to build a show and all that, it's probably not a good idea to attack your own fan base. But it's the same way in our fan base with Notre Dame. Nothing is ever good enough for these people. I mean, granted, we have to do it yet. It still has to happen. But I guarantee you, if we were to win a national championship, our maybe not all of our fans, but at least half of them would still find something to bitch and complain about. Like, oh, we should have won by this much instead of that much. You just won the goddamn national championship. Shut the hell up. And this is a prime example of what you're talking about, how people are still bitching about your quarterback, saying he didn't do this, he didn't do that. He just won you a national fucking championship. Pardon my French, because I don't like to drop many F-bombs, but damn.
No. I mean, no, you're absolutely right. And see, once the season was over, I even I had to throw out some numbers out there. Now, I will admit, not this season, but last season he was pretty turnover prone, and I'll admit that. But this season, he had 29 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown, so he had 30 total touchdowns, and he only threw 7 interceptions. And let's also not forget, he didn't even start. Was it 3 games, I believe? So out of the 15 games, he started 12, and he had right at 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions in 12 games. I'm sorry. That's last time I checked. That is not bad at all.
No. Hey, what do they expect out of him, to throw no interceptions?
I guess so. And plus, I think he had close to what was it, 350 rushing yards or something like that. So I mean, if you combine his passing and rushing, it's over 3,000. So and that's only starting 12 games. So he had a really good season statistically, and he was top 3 in several different categories like downfield passing efficiency. I think he was number 2 or 3 in quarterback rating in the country. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Look at this. You think we got somebody on the bench that can do better? JT Daniels, get the fuck out of here. Like, he would have taken so many sacks this year, dude. Like, if you watch a lot of our games, Stetson literally extended a lot of plays and made a ton of plays with his feet. JT Daniels in no way would have done that.
Well, and also that's the thing. I mean, and if the people who are dogging him wanted him to throw 40 or 50 touchdowns, well, why does he need to when you have a running game to complement what he's doing?
Yeah, that's another thing people don't realize. It's like when you got the stable of running backs we got, you're not going to have 4,000 or 5,000 passing yards because you've got a good run game to help you out. When you look at quarterbacks that have those kind of numbers, for the most part, that's all they do is throw the ball. They don't have much of a run game. Now, you do have some teams out there that, their offense is just that good. For example, 2019 LSU, they could run the ball and they could pass the ball. So they just had a well-rounded offense. There are exceptions, but for the most part, when you see teams with 5,000, 5,500 passing yards, you look at their run numbers and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. And also, this is something that you and I have talked a lot about, on here and in private. But and I'm not saying that Stetson's going to do this, but when you see a quarterback that doesn't have the sexiest numbers, let me just say this: back in the 80s, there was a guy in his senior year in college that threw only like 17 touchdowns and I think around 20 some odd picks or something. And he went on to have people weren't sure of what was going to happen with his career going forward, but that guy was Dan Marino at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's Dan Marino until you just said that.
Yeah. And I
know that. I mean, and you know this. I'm a huge Dan Marino fan.
Yeah, probably one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. And he didn't have such a great senior season, and people thought he was gonna flop out in the NFL. Quite the opposite.
No, yeah, Dan Marino. It's really unfortunate that he played in the era he did, because if you were to go back in time and bring him to this era, dude, the numbers Marino would put up in this offensive friendly league we have now would be downright stupid. Like, I can't even fathom what he would do in the league nowadays.
Well, and like you said, the league today, as far as like penalties go and what the defense can and can't do now.
Oh yeah. I post about that on my Facebook. It's like, and that's one of the reasons why I said I personally think that this Georgia defense is the best I've ever seen, period. Because if you take into account the modern era of football, the defense is handicapped. They get called for targeting on certain plays. You can't breathe on a quarterback. Back in Marino's day, you used to be able to, to maul the receiver going downfield. Well, you can't touch him now.
Let me put it to you the best way. The best way that I heard it was this: from the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary on the 85 Bears. Otis Wilson, linebacker for that team, said it the best. When he was asked about this very same thing. His response was, "Oh, I'd be playing for free today."
Well, yeah, I mean, because you can't. I don't want to say they've taken the physicality out of football, but they've made it to where offenses are at a huge advantage. Defenses are handicapped now. I mean, there's no debating that, period. And and that's what I said with what Georgia was able to do defensively. You see, the last couple of years we've seen offenses explode. 2019 to LSU, 2020 Alabama. Get used to that because that's going to be common. What's uncommon is the defense that Georgia put on the field this year. We don't see defenses like that in this modern era of football.
No, I mean, at least we haven't in a long ass time anyway.
Well, good defenses. I mean, they've been around in the old, the old eras, but in this era, we just don't see that. I actually did the numbers. Okay, as a team, Georgia gave up 10.2 points per game. Now, 4 of those touchdowns Georgia gave up were non-defensive touchdowns. So that wasn't on the defense. If you take those 4 touchdowns away, the defense actually only gave up 8.2 points per game, dude.
Which is insane. My Lord.
The defense only gave up 8.2 in this modern era of football. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. And of course, you just got to prepare yourself for it. You give out numbers like that, and people are going to say, "Oh, your schedule wasn't as good, or you didn't play anybody." This, that, and all the other nonsense that I've heard numerous times over and over with us.
Well, I guess according to everybody, nobody plays anybody because when you start talking about this team, that comes up. You can talk about any team you want to in college football. There's always going to be those fans that be like, well, who have they played? I mean, for example, Georgia's first game of the year, we held Clemson to 10 points. I mean, they had a good defense that first game. We beat them, 10-3, and Clemson goes on to have a pretty decent year. They go 10-3. When we matched up with Arkansas, they were ranked number 8 at the time, and they were averaging 35 points a game or something like that. So they were no slouch. We shut them the hell out. 0, nada. Tennessee, they were averaging a shitload of points, and Georgia held them to their season low of only 17. When we played Alabama in the national championship game, you could argue that without that bullshit call, Alabama don't get a single touchdown. And Alabama is a team that was averaging 40 plus a game. So, I mean, I don't want to hear that bullshit from people.
Well, it's just, this is what I always say. Because myself, I've heard that plenty of times, like, oh, who'd you play? You have a weak schedule, this and that. Well, I'm sorry, but for starters, a lot of your schedule is, of course, when you're in a conference, it's different because you alternate. But the majority of your schedule is planned years in advance. So for starters, you don't know who's going to fall off and who's going to stay on top. And in addition to that, you're not going to play a top 10 team every week. I'm sorry, you're not. That's just the hand that you're dealt. Yeah.
You're going to play non-ranked teams throughout the year, and that's just the way it goes. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the season, all I got to say is, who is the goddamn national champions?
Exactly. And I say it all the time. If you want to win that national championship, you get sick of a certain team winning it every year. In this case, it's Alabama because they've been, insane for the last 15, 20 years.
Oh, let's talk about the Michigan game real quick. What's his name? What's that running back's name they have? Haskins?
Yeah, I think so.
That dude was against Ohio State, ran absolutely apeshit. What did he have? Close to 300 yards on the ground or some shit?
Oh, it was sickening, yeah.
Yeah, and against Georgia, not a goddamn thing. Like I said, it didn't matter who they played. Other than that one loss against Alabama, and like I said, I firmly believe that it was the flu got a hold of us that week, but because clearly the second game against Alabama, we were a completely different team. Dude, everybody we played, it was they couldn't do nothing. And everybody, and that includes Alabama in the national championship game. So What can people say?
Really not a damn word. Of course, people will try to say something, but you can't say anything. You really can't. Because Georgia did what was asked of them. They stepped up to the plate and they got it done. And what I was going to say before, in this case, it's Alabama that's always been winning. It's if you want to win, if you don't want that to be the case, then you knock the king off the mountain.
Yeah, and I got a lot of respect for Nick Saban because he's done just done remarkable things since he's been at Alabama, and I think most people will agree that he's probably the best college coach, in NCAA history, and that's really hard to argue. And if you want to be national champions, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to beat Nick Saban to get it. And that's what makes this championship so much better because damn well, let's say if Cincinnati would have beat Alabama and then Georgia beat Cincinnati in the national championship, we would have heard, well, the only reason you won is because you didn't play Alabama. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm so tired of that crap. I'm not going to, as much as I despise Cincinnati, I'm not going to say that they didn't deserve to be there since you brought that up.
Well, by the end of the season, I'll agree. Now, when the playoff first came out, I didn't think they belonged. But as the season progressed, it was like, well, who are you going to put in there? If you take Cincinnati out, the only logical explanation I had was Notre Dame, because they're not going to put a 2-loss team in there. That's why a lot of people say, well, Georgia didn't win their conference. They shouldn't have made it. They should have put in Baylor. Yeah, put a 2-loss team over a 1-loss team. That makes a lot of goddamn sense. Fuck out of here.
No, it doesn't. And I guess the only thing, and I don't know what your take is on this, but expansion might be the only answer to solve all this.
And we've talked about that before, and we're still going to have the same problem. Even if they expand the playoff to 12 teams, there's always going to be number 13 or number 14 to bitch and complain because they thought that they should have got in. So it don't matter how many teams it expands to, you're always going to have those teams to bitch and complain. At most, dude, I would say 8 teams. There's no sense in 12 teams, dude. I think 8 teams would be good.
Yeah, I think even 6 would be a good start, just to experiment with something, to try something else out.
Yeah,
but I think 8 would be the perfect number because you can include all the Power 5 conferences in there. You can get your group of 5 and then 2 at large.
Yeah, and if they expand, that will definitely help Notre Dame's case out. But right now, dude, with it only being 4 teams and Notre Dame not being in a conference, I think that really hurt them this year because you guys only had, 1 loss, and it was to Cincinnati. And if you guys were, let's say, in the ACC or whatever, and you had the conference championship and you won, who knows, man? Y'all might have actually, got in. I don't know. I just think with y'all having 1 less game than, all the conferences that play championship games, I just think that hurts y'all this year. And we talked.
Yeah, we've talked about this numerous times.
And I seriously thought Notre Dame had a real legit shot of, getting in. But dude, when conference championship week was rolling around and Notre Dame was just sitting there chilling, it was just like watching these games. I'm like, oh shit, I don't know.
Well, the funny thing about that is, and I've said this before, but it's amazing all these people that usually are haters. They always say, well, you guys need to join a conference. You guys need to join a conference. And I've said, and I'll say it again. All these fans that are saying that should want us to remain independent, because not only for that we have that we have that chance to, like what you were just talking about, to win a conference championship, get to the playoffs, which you know, a lot of people would hate us seeing there anyway. But it would affect recruiting big time because that would give us the opportunity to recruit at schools that really we're not allowed to recruit from because we're not affiliated with a conference.
Yeah,
because that does happen. That's not a farce. There, that does happen.
Yeah, and I mean, if they expand, then I can definitely see Notre Dame pretty much being a perennial contender of getting in, unless they just completely have a disastrous season. Because if you expand to 8 teams, at least, you know, that's opening the door for a couple 2-loss teams, in my opinion. I think we're going to see some 2-loss teams in it.
Yeah, that I get. That would be kind of a, what's the right word that I'm looking for here? Kind of a stain on it. But yeah, I mean, oh, and by the way, we got a couple new people in here. Crimson Brave, what's up, dude? And some guy who calls himself Breakfast Time. Now, I'm looking at these comments here, and I gotta bring this up. Even if this Breakfast Time guy is a troll trying to screw with me, he brings up a good point about something, and he's actually saying something that I've said long before he just said it here. So let me show a couple of these comments real quick. So for starters, Cold as Brian says, Cincy fans really showed up in South Bend too. It wasn't quite the Georgia takeover, but it was definitely a good showing for them. And he's right. There was way too much red in that stadium. And then this Breakfast Time guy says, Cincinnati fans are more loyal than Notre Dame fans. And Brian says, I don't know about that, LOL. But you know, here's the thing. Yeah, there's a lot of loyalty in the Notre Dame fan base, but what about when a big game comes to town? So this guy is not exactly, he's not wrong.
Well, to be fair, you know, Cincinnati to South Bend, that's nowhere near as far a drive for them as it was for Georgia fans. I mean, it don't surprise me that they showed up for that game because it's really not that far, honestly.
No, it's not. It's not. But I'm just saying that's the problem, and I've said this many times about our fan base. Any big game that comes to town, the only thing they care about is making a profit. And I remember when I met you down in Georgia, and we went to Athens for the 2019 matchup between us. You know, there's no way that a team like Georgia or Alabama or anybody would let that happen. But us, we've let it happen numerous times. I mean, and I hate this, but I have a cousin who buys season tickets every year just so he can sell them and make a profit off them. And that shit pisses me off. It's like these people, they're probably the same ones who bitch about how the team does, but yet they're the ones that are letting the stadium get taken over by opposing fans because they sell their fucking tickets. Only in South Bend have I ever seen that happen.
Yeah, that shit definitely. I mean, I can't speak for other teams, but I mean, yeah, in Athens, that shit ain't gonna fly. It's like, you know, we sell out every home game. Damn that. We ain't letting nobody come in our stadium and take it over. I mean, hell, and it just doesn't apply to Notre Dame, man. Like, you know, Tennessee has been the victim of that before. You know, they've gotten rid of a lot of their tickets, and you know, we've seen their stadium get overran a few times.
Okay, I guess. I mean, I have heard what you call it. A lot of Bama fans refer to Neyland as Brian Denny North, but I wasn't sure if that was just because they actually made that stadium a red out, or if just because of how many times they've won there.
Well, you know, I think a lot of it comes down to, because, you know, let's be honest, Tennessee has been garbage for years, and I think it's worn on a lot of their fans. You know, they may not want to go watch their team lose anymore, so they sell their tickets. I mean, let's be honest here. a lot of fans are like that.
Well, and here's the thing: a friend of Ben and a friend of Ben and I, guy's name is George Bashura, and he actually does some media. Well, he doesn't work directly with the University of Notre Dame, but he is at the press conferences for football, and I think he maybe for some basketball too. I'm not entirely sure, but he told me once when I brought this up to him, he's like, if you're going to sell your ticket, then why don't you at least try to sell it to another Notre Dame fan? And that makes sense.
I think I can probably answer that one because you can get more money from the visiting fan. I think that's a good explanation. You got to think, like, for example, you know damn well when Georgia came up to South Bend in 2017, a lot of those fans didn't have a ticket when they got there. They were looking for tickets left and right. And if a Notre Dame fan said, I got a ticket right here, and if they were charged, they could have charged $500-600 for one ticket, and damn well them Georgia fans ate that shit up. They can make more money off of the visiting team.
Well, and I remember watching the coverage on NBC, and I remember them at the airport. They showed all the private jets that flew in. From the high end Georgia alum. So that says a lot. That says a lot right there about that.
Yeah, I mean it happens with some teams out there. So Notre Dame isn't the only team it's happened to. I mean it is a bad look. Don't get me wrong. But
let me just bring this up real quick. This Breakfast Time guy says Vandy always gets taken over. It's like, okay, yeah, but that's Vanderbilt. They're not exactly a powerful. They're not exactly an elite football team.
Yeah, they're not even an average football team like that.
And that's what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about if this is some team like in the MAC conference or the Sun Belt. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about top tier elite teams here, elite fan bases. That's what I'm talking about. And I think that's a disgrace when it happens amongst that. And it's just I get that people try to make an extra buck, but it's like a lot of the people that sell their tickets, they're already well off. Because let's face it, in that matchup against Georgia, or even going all the way back to 2000 when Nebraska came to South Bend, number 1 Nebraska, if you had a ticket to that game, and this is the excuse that I've heard from a few people, like, oh, maybe people sold their ticket because they need to pay the rent or pay a bill. No, if you already had a ticket to that game, you are not struggling financially. You're not trying to make ends meet here. So don't give me that excuse. And so it's like, yeah, I don't know what else to say on that.
Yeah, big time games like that, and of course you always have big games every year. But see, for example, Georgia Notre Dame, not only was that a big matchup, they were building it up as because that was in 2017. That was the second time they've ever faced. The last time was the 1980 national championship. So they were kind of building it up as a rematch, and it was the kind of matchup that you do not see every year. I mean,
that's my point.
We see Ohio State and Michigan every year. That's a big rivalry. But Georgia Notre Dame, yes, it was a big matchup, but we do not get those kind of matchups all the time. So that increases the ticket prices drastically, especially when you got, both of them ranked in the top fucking 10. So.
All right, Breakfast Time. When you say we, who are you talking about? Which who is your team? But yeah, he also said in a comment earlier, watch, Ohio State comes in. I can already see it. Unfortunately, I do too.
Well, here's the thing. I'll say this about Georgia fans. We have always traveled exceptionally well, no matter where we go. And perfect example, we had a home and home with Arizona State back in 2008 and 2009. When we went over to Arizona State, you go back and look at that game, and look how we took over that motherfucker. it doesn't matter where we played. Like Georgia fans are notorious for traveling well, and even this at the national championship game, they estimated it was probably 70-30 in favor of Georgia. It don't matter where we play. Georgia has always traveled well, and that's why I think. I mean, this is just me being biased, of course, but I mean, I just personally think we have the best fans in college football on that basis.
Well, they do travel. You're right. I've seen that myself. They do travel, and they're loyal fans. And like you said earlier, when we were down there ain't no way that those fans for that matchup against us, they were not going to let their stadium get taken over. And I'm pretty sure there were a lot of well-off Notre Dame fans in town that weekend.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we saw a good number of Notre Dame fans while we were there.
And there was probably ones that offered, $2,000 for a ticket or $3,000, whatever they were going for. And I guarantee you, a lot of those Georgia fans said no, because the only place I saw Notre Dame fans in Sanford Stadium was where the visiting fans were. I never saw any green or blue anywhere else in that stadium.
Yeah, and that's the way it is, in Athens. It's just we do not allow that. Like we have literally sold out every home game since 1996. Like that's the streak we're on. And in the 90s, for the most part, we absolutely sucked. So that says a lot, selling out every home game during years, you're not going to be good. That's pretty impressive.
This breakfast time says his team is he's giving me a hint. It's Northeast. Oh my God. I have a feeling who this idiot is. Well, I shouldn't call him an idiot because I could be wrong, but I have a feeling someone's stalking me. Anyway, but that's beside the point, though. But it's just like what I was getting at, though, is if you get that from Georgia, good or bad, and they're not allowing that to happen, then Notre Dame fans and Notre Dame Stadium, there's no excuse why they should ever let that happen. So it just says a lot about my fan base that they care more about making a profit and money than they do supporting the team. But yet what also doesn't make sense is you get a big matchup like Georgia that comes to town, or 2000 against Nebraska, or Clemson when they came in 2020, which that's kind of hard to tell because really hardly anybody was allowed in that stadium. So I can't really judge that.
Yeah. The COVID year. Yeah. We can count any kind of attendance that year.
Yeah. So I'm being fair with that one, but no, it's a good question though. It's like the future big opponents on our schedule. Like, Ohio State is at Columbus next year, but the year after that, or whenever the follow-up matchup is, that's going to be in South Bend. Are we going to see a bunch of red and silver in the stadium then? We also have, let's see, who are some other biggies coming up on the schedule? Texas A&M is in there. And some of these matchups are still kind of down the road yet, but regardless, we have Texas A&M is on the schedule. We got Alabama on there, Florida's on there, and so on. It's like, what is our stadium going to look like when those teams come to town? So it's like, it makes you wonder where is the loyalty amongst the fan base? And I remember one guy who's a Notre Dame YouTuber, and he's a good dude. But he had it was an argument that I'm sorry was just not good. But he said, I think the fans did that with the Georgia game in 2017 to send a message to the team like, hey, you want us to come start winning. Well, that's kind of bullshit, because if you love your team, you'll come anyway.
Yeah, to me, that just told you everything you needed to know about, where he stands in his fanhood. Holy shit.
Well, and I'm not saying that he did that, but it's like he was trying to be an apologist for the ones who did sell their ticket.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, I look at it as, it happens. Notre Dame's not the only team it happens to. So it is what it is. I mean, you just have some passionate fan bases out there that do travel really well. And I guess if the price is right, you'll get a ticket. That's all I can say.
Well, and like I said, the ones that are selling their tickets at Notre Dame, they're not the ones that are trying to make ends meet because they're struggling financially. No, they're the alumni who show up there at 7:00 in the morning in their fancy RVs. They're wearing the polo shirts and the khaki shorts, and they're trashed by 10:30 in the morning, and they're like, I don't feel like going to the game here. Here's $1,000. You got yourself a ticket. Woo, my $1,000 is here. I'm going back to the RV to drink some more beer. Which I'm not trying to make them sound like hillbillies because they're not, but they sound pretty obnoxious after they've had, a 24-pack in their system before 10:30.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I don't think there's anything that could really be done about it because it's going to happen. I mean, if you got a team that's coming in and their fans are willing to pay top dollar for a ticket, not really much you can do. I mean, even if, dude, it don't matter if Notre Dame was 10-0 or 11-0. It's going to happen. I mean, I forget it. What were they ranked in 2017 when we came there? I mean, I know if I remember correctly, I know they were top 10. God damn it! So it's not like y'all had a bad team that year.
I think we were like 9, maybe right at number 10. I'm not sure, but we were up there. And it's even despite the attendance thing with fans selling their tickets, it was a good game. It came down to the last drive, and Georgia forced a turnover.
I still remember after the game was over. I still remember fucking with you a little bit. Remember, I sent you that touchdown Jesus picture, and it had Godwin on it, and I said touchdown Jesus is now touchdown God win.
Well, it's funny. You sent me that, but I saw that other places too.
I think I was the first. I mean, I did it like literally right after the game. I think I was the first one to do it.
Okay. Catch up on a couple of comments here. Breakfast Time says that his school's in the Northeast. I'm going to guess probably Pittsburgh because I'm getting a vibe because this guy's been around under a few different names.
No, well, hold on. One guy who was that? Cold as Brian says in 2017.
Yeah, I was going to.
Both teams were fringe top 25 at the time. I don't know. I have to disagree because Georgia made the national championship game that year.
Well, and he also said that Notre Dame was actually the favorite in that one too, and he might be right about that. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh well, yeah, he could be right about that, but I do know Georgia made the national championship game that year. So,
well, also he makes another comment that I've talked about before too. Brian says, from what I understand, you can't even stand up during the games in South Bend without people staying down in front. That's a big part of the problem too. Is you have too many people, like too many golf fans or grandmas. They're like, will you sit down? We're trying to watch the game and be quiet. That's a problem too. You really don't get the when you have fans like that in the stadium, it kills the vibe.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think every fan base has those. That's just not.
It's not
strictly Notre Dame.
It's not I know. That's true, but people need to realize it's a football game, not a damn golf tournament. It's not like.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Loud. You get freaking loud, and you make some noise. You help your team out. You like in the Seattle Seahawks, the 12th man. That's what you're there for. Crimson 1077 says, "Good old Magnum."
Oh,
yeah, he is.
Damn, he's on my videos. He was on the stream when I was on BBD show last week, and now he's on this one. God damn, he's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Crimson, thank you for supporting all of us. I appreciate it. And I know BVD and everybody else do too. But yeah, Cold as Brian also said, going back to the whole being good or not, he says, I went to a game in 2016, if that proves anything about my loyalty. I did too. I was at the Miami game that year, and that was
You
the
know, but here's the
coronation.
thing: you don't have to go to a game to be loyal. You know, I mean, anybody. I hate people that use that argument too. It's like you can watch every fucking game from your house and be just as loyal as somebody who goes to the game, because not everybody has the financial ability to go to every
Oh,
fucking
no,
game.
no. I don't think that's what he was talking about. I'm saying that I think what he's saying is he didn't sell his ticket because it was a losing season when he was there. No, of course you can be loyal watching at home. Absolutely. I think that's what he was talking about. I was like,
Oh
okay,
yeah, I know what he
I
was
was
talking
I
about.
yeah,
It's just like I don't look at somebody's loyalty based on if they go to games or not. I mean,
yeah.
you
My
know.
my whole issue is when you're there for a big game and you sell out the team just to make an extra buck. And then a lot of those people have the nerve to actually bitch about the team when they don't do well and when the stadium gets taken over. Well, don't sell your damn ticket. Go to the game and cheer the team on. Maybe that might actually help them. But no, it just up in South Bend, they don't seem to have that figured out. And and my buddy Ben said it the best: before you can be an elite team, you have to have an elite fan base. And even there are some people that are still bitching about, like, oh, okay, Brian Kelly's gone now, but now they're bitching about Marcus Freeman. And it's like, my God, give the guy a chance to coach a season before you start with the criticism.
Well, we talked about it earlier, and again, every fan base has these, but we've got our fans that still want to trash Stetson Bennett after he won a national championship. Well, you got your idiots out there, man, and all you can really do is either ignore them or just tell them to go
Yeah.
fuck yourself.
Oh, I'm telling you, arguing with them, which I've done, you're left with first off, you've accomplished nothing. And two, you're left with a big ass headache because the stupid shit that comes out of these people's mouths or keyboards, whatever, excuse me, it's just it's unbelievable, some of the shit that people say.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly why I told you earlier I removed myself from a lot of the sports groups on Facebook and quit following some publications because I'm just tired of dealing with dumbasses, dude. I mean, that's the easiest way I could put it. Like, I refuse to sit there and watch my own fan base bash fucking players that just helped you win a national championship. I refuse to be part of that, man.
And I will be fair too, for all the crap ones that are there. There's a lot of good ones and logical people, rational people that do know better. And so I got to give the credit where it's due. But also the thing too is, like I said earlier, when you got, and I'm not talking about my channel here, I'm talking about the two Irish brothers. But yeah, when you're trying to obviously, as you know, when you're trying to build up a show, podcast, whatever you want to call it, that's where you got to hit is on the Facebook and Facebook groups and the message boards and Twitter and all that. So unfortunately, it's just, yeah, I can say all I want about it, but it's going to be there regardless. And I got to remember that.
When it comes to my YouTube channel, I never really actually promoted my channel. It's like I honestly didn't really give a shit about views, man. Like, back in the day, we just got up on camera just to trash talk, to certain fan bases and some of the people we knew on YouTube. It's like the trash talking circle was not meant for everybody to see. Most of us didn't give a shit about views. I never promoted my channel.
Well, I'm just talking about myself now at this point in time. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if I could, vlog or do something like this for a living. Can't say that it wouldn't be. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Oh, I mean, you can make a living off doing it. I mean, hell.
But you're right.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. No, when I first started doing this, back in the day, yeah, it was just for fun. But now that over at our other show on a TIB, Ben and I have, a brand that's kind of out there. We've gotten a small taste of it. We've had former players on the show and, some people that, that know some other big names that we've had on and talked to them. And it's been an awesome experience. So we've got a little taste of it. And it's like, now it goes through your mind, like, let's see if we can't make a serious go at it. Let's figure out a better way to promote ourselves and, get ourselves out there.
I mean, yeah, if you're trying to, do something with the show, then, I mean, yeah, you want to, promote it, and get yourself out there.
But of course, when it was just me and my filming in my car, no, I didn't give a crap about promoting then. I was just pure raw emotion.
Yeah, dude. Like, when, for example, when we filmed the Gunther and Wayne Simmons videos, that was really just for shits and giggles and just to make people laugh. That wasn't, meant to get out there and be really popular or whatever it is. Certain things, it's just like, hey, if it gets a lot of views, it gets a lot of views. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I never intended for any of my videos to get a ton of views. Some of them did, but
well, that's what you have to do. Yeah, when you make a video, you just approach it as having fun. That's what you have to do. You can't just be like, what you see on TV wearing a suit and tie and, hi everybody, welcome to this episode of Sports Center or Sports Talk with Bryant Gumbel, whatever. No, you have fun. You be yourself. You do something different. I think, and that's why, people watch all the guys that are in the old TTC that are still around, because they're just themselves. They're raw. They're not, they're not putting on an act for people. And that's really what I think people like to see.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, people understand that when I do videos nowadays, I'm not going off the deep end like I used to. And hell, actually, most of my videos these days are appearing on shows, yours and BBDs. And this isn't the first time I've been on yours. That's really mostly what my content involves nowadays.
Well, let me just say this though, even though it's back in the day, when you went off the deep end, it was great. I loved it. It was awesome.
A lot of people did, man. And me and my wife were watching some of my old ones yesterday, and I just looked at her on certain parts, and I was like, yeah, I really did that. Like, I look back on a lot of that shit, and I'm like, wow, what the fuck was I thinking? Type deal. Yeah, but it was fun, and that was my goal back then. It was just to, I guess, entertain people, not be boring. And I like to think I wasn't boring. I tried to bring the energy and the passion, and I think I did pretty well. Now, sometimes I do think that I went a little too far, looking back on it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you're just having fun. That was it. And it's like, on this channel, I've ventured out and tried different things. I mean, I remember when I did the first online predator video where I set them up. I remember like literally like 8 or 10 minutes after I posted that, you called me and you just could not stop laughing.
Yeah, that shit was funny. That shit really was funny.
I actually got some. I'll talk to you about this after we get off the air here, but I'll give everybody watching a little teaser. There's some more of that coming, but not exactly with predators.
And one thing that we noticed, dude, when we were doing the busts, if that's what you want to call it, 99.9% of those motherfuckers were Indians.
Yeah, I know. It's I try not to single out a particular race, but that's all that when you set those perverts up, that's all they were Indian guys. That's what they happen to be. So it's an issue over there in that country, as sad as it is, because I've met some really nice Indian people in my life, and I try not to let the actions of a few dictate an entire group of people. But unfortunately, over in that country, it is a problem.
Oh yeah, obviously. Damn, I'll tell you something else is a problem. Actually, more of a disaster is that Ohio State defense. What a shit show that was, eh?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that was a cheap shot. But the reason I did that is because I've ran into several Ohio State fans online, and they're like, "Well, if y'all would have played us, y'all wouldn't have beat us." Oh, really? You mean that Swiss cheese defense? Would have made a big difference? Get the fuck out of here! Like their defense was god awful. Like
Yeah,
we would
especially
have
in the secondary.
had our way with them just like we had our way with Michigan and Alabama. If their defense couldn't hold us to under 30, I'll be damned if they could have.
Yeah, it's easy to talk until you play the match. Jesus, I sound like a soccer fan. Until you play the game.
Well, it's just a different. I know a lot of people would give me flack for this, but honestly, man, SEC football is just a different breed. It really is. Michigan won. I mean, dude, Michigan won the Big Ten. They smacked the shit out of Ohio State, and Georgia lost the SEC championship game, and we kicked the shit out of the Big Ten champion. It's just different, man. I hate to be that guy. There's a reason an SEC team 90% of the time is in the national championship game.
This kind of correlates with that statement, Magnum, but Cold as Brian says, Georgia should play in Columbus when it's cold. So kind of a dig there. What's your response to that?
I don't care what the weather is or whatever. I mean, it's not like we play in a dome. We're out in the fucking elements too. Was it 2017? We went to South Bend. That was out of our comfort zone.
Well, that was all, but that was also still in the summer when it was warm. I think he's trying to say, like, why don't you guys ever play in the harsh elements when it's super cold? So he's taking a dig there.
Hell, we if there's one SEC team that travels that ain't afraid to go to different places, it's Georgia. We have a lot of big games on neutral sites. We schedule home and homes with different teams. Like, I think Georgia is probably the last team to go out west and play a Pac-12 team in their territory. I mean, I could be wrong, but I know we had a home and home with Arizona State. Was that 2006 and 2009? We had a home and home with Oklahoma State. Georgia's one of the few teams from the SEC that ain't afraid to go cross country and play.
Adam here says, "What's up, fellas?" Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just goes back to, oh my God, this is the biggest joke of all. That breakfast time guy says that Georgia is afraid to play Pitt. I think I know who this. I think I know who this guy is. This guy's he. If you see him on any other page, especially have you ever seen Golden Blue Dude? You ever watch any of that guy's videos?
No.
Okay, he's a West Virginia fan. This guy, and I think I'm right on this, but this guy he goes by the name of John Waffle, or John Waffle H2P or whatever. He says he's a Pittsburgh fan, but he's also a West Virginia fan.
Never heard of him.
Nope. Yeah. He always goes on about Pittsburgh, but then one moment he'll cheer for West Virginia. The next he cheers for Pitt. He claims that Pitt has 9 national championships. I'm not saying they have none, but I don't know if it's actually 9, unless he's claiming some bullshit ones. But no, this guy would always talk a lot of shit towards me. He actually said that I was a fraud in one of his videos, which I don't know what have I been fraudulent about. But he has more of a beef with Golden Blue dude than he does me. But I can this guy would always talk all this smack towards me, but then when he finally does get on camera, I discovered why he never gets on camera. Have you ever seen the movie Office Space?
Oh my God, it's been a long time.
Well, this guy looks like a cross between Michael from the movie Office Space and Jack Nicholson from The Shining.
Yikes!
And go figure, he's a computer programmer. Nothing against computer programmers out there, but this guy fits every stereotype of that.
In other words, you know the image I'm getting in my head, dude? Dr. Oaken from Independence Day.
Yes. But he was also from Star Trek. What was the dude's name from Star Trek? The robot.
Oh fuck! Shit, I can't remember, man.
I'll know it once I hear it. Oh, son of a bitch! Now I want to look it up because I want to get it.
Oh, Adam just said it. That's it. Data.
Yeah. Yes. Data. How I think it was pronounced data, but whatever. Tomato. Yes. This guy. Yes, he could be Dr. Oaken, or like I said, he's a cross between Michael from Office Space and Jack Nicholson from The Shining. He almost looks like a serial killer.
That was the first image that came to mind, dude. Dr. Oaken from Independence Day.
Or some of us like to call it the Freak Show.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Adam said. This Adam guy says, "Have you seen my stapler?"
Yeah, that's well, you know Adam. He's done videos in the past. Yeah, I know you've had to seen him.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. It's just been a while. Yeah.
We're friends on Facebook, so we talk to each other quite a bit.
Did you ever go by a different name, or have you always gone by just Adam? Breakfast. Okay, Johnny. Well, if you would quit being a pest, then maybe I wouldn't have blocked you. And you're still doing it. You come trolling like what I just described. This is what he says. At least I've never blocked anyone from my channel and cried about it. Well, you know, if you offer something productive instead of being a pest, then you'd still be here, which obviously you are. My God, what a loser. But
I mean, it's just, and I've done this on Facebook too. It's like once somebody gets stupid, then I'll quit dealing with them as well.
Yeah, it's just there's no point. I mean, I want to block him now, but he's actually, I got to give him credit. He's fessing up to it, and he actually did offer something earlier. So I got to give credit where credit's due. He did offer some conversation, something I guess productive. Okay, Jar 2. Okay, I remember you now. Adam. It was a long time, but that name does ring a bell.
Yeah, he's a Tennessee Titans fan for the NFL too.
Okay. Yeah, Adam, as much as I hate to say this, I did pick the Bengals in the divisional round. That was my upset pick. I wasn't for sure if it was going to happen, but I'm actually shocked that it did. But you know, that Bengals offense is pretty good. Anyway, I'm sorry, dude. I had to say it. But what was I gonna say?
Speaking of the NFL, holy shit! Damn it, the games this past weekend.
Oh man, I was so hoping that Buffalo was gonna win.
Not me. Fuck them. I hate, dude. Oh my god.
You're entitled to your opinion. I'm not going to say anything else. I think I'm just biased because my buddy that I did the stream with the other night, he's a big time Buffalo Bills fan, and on my fantasy team, I had 3 guys from their offense on my team, so I guess I'm a little biased in that aspect.
It's like I can, I guess I would feel bad for him in a way because it's like, I mean, Josh Allen did play his ass off, and with only 13 seconds left, just imagine the emotion. You saw them on the sideline hugging each other. They thought they had won. And with 13 seconds left and 2 plays, Patrick Mahomes gets them in field goal range. They tie the game. They get the ball first in overtime, score a touchdown, and it's over. Dude, I mean, that would suck.
Well, I'll say this too. Leslie Frazier, the Bills defensive coordinator, member of the 85 Bears team, he's in line for a few different head coaching jobs. But I think that word has now changed to was. Because he literally coached himself out of a head coaching job in 13 seconds. How do you let that happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to explain. He better have a good explanation, which I don't think he has. I mean, if you go back and look at those plays, dude, there was literally nobody lined up on any of the receivers. Dude, they had so much green in front of them. All Patrick Mahomes had to do was just throw a couple little passes, and the receivers ran the rest of the way. It's you're not presenting a challenge at all. You're allowing the Kansas City playmakers to make plays. You have got to be the stupidest son of a bitch alive to allow Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman to catch a ball in open space and nobody around him. You are an absolute fucking fool.
Well, here's the 2 big mistakes that Buffalo made in that situation. And this is the first one I didn't even think about. But one, on that kickoff, they should have squib kicked it or pooched it, whatever, and that would run some time off the clock. And then 2, when they lined up, the mistake Leslie Frazier made, I think, and I know the announcer said this during the game too, but when you go back and watch it, this is really just common sense stuff. He rushed 4 guys. 4 guys on the defensive line. He rushed 4. Well, you don't need to drop that 4th guy back, and just drop back 8 like you normally would, and you'd force him to kill off more time that way. So, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is.
Yeah, but at the same time, Patrick Mahomes, that's a different animal, man.
Yeah, he's on. That guy's just a freak.
Yeah, and just, in overtime when they got the ball first, dude, I knew it was over. And of course, Mecole Hardman had that big play to set up the game-winning touchdown. Former Georgia player, might I add. Kansas City has too many fucking playmakers to just give that kind of space to, man. That is the dumbest thing you can possibly do.
The one thing that I think about, that I've been thinking about a little bit since that game, is Patrick Mahomes. We could have had him. We could have had him in Chicago. But our GM at the time decides to make a stupid trade to trade up 1 spot to get Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, speaking of that, okay, I just remember something. I want to ask your opinion. I'm not going to talk any shit because I want your honest opinion.
All right. It's all right. Talk shit if you want to.
No. Well, I'm just going to say, how you liking Justin Fields?
Well, it's kind of hard to really judge him after his rookie season, but
I thought he looks like shit.
Well, he did look like shit. I'm not going to say otherwise, but I think, you get the right coach in here to really build him up. That kid's going to be a beast. He's going to be a force to reckon with.
Nothing pleased me more than to see him getting put on his fucking ass, especially during the preseason when he made the fucking comment saying he didn't really notice any difference from the college level to the NFL. Oh my God, I was wanting to see him getting put on his fucking ass for that arrogant comment. Fuck that guy.
Well, sometimes it takes getting humbled to be good, and he got humbled this year big time. I mean, his debut was just atrocious. And whether that was him and being too cocky, or if it was our coaching staff and the play calling, I don't know, but it was atrocious regardless. But no, we just got a new GM who ironically has spent like 7 or 8 years with the Chiefs organization. Now we're just waiting on a head coach. But no, I remember us talking about Justin Fields, a couple of different things. I know there was what you just talked about, him being a little cocky and saying that the speed's not any different.
Well, he was like that at Georgia, and that's one of the reasons I never liked that motherfucker, period. I don't like him.
I didn't really want to go here, but I have to just for discussion's sake. Didn't he, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember us talking about this, and didn't you say that he kind of tried to play the race card down when he was down there a little bit?
Yeah, and it's been a little while. I know it involved I think it was a baseball player, if I remember correctly, or whatever. And I think that was at the time he was using that, trying to get like immediate eligibility or something like that. I'd have to go back and read the whole thing, but it's along those lines. But that wasn't the only thing. It's like we had a game where he played against South Carolina that season, and we actually won the game. And after the game was over, the cameras were on him, and I think I forget who he was talking to, but the guy was, of course, happy they won or whatever. And Justin Fields made the comment. He was like, "Yeah, I handed the ball off real good, didn't I? I didn't do shit, bro." That told me right then and there that he was a me person. He didn't give a fuck about the team, and it immediately pissed me off, and I no longer liked him. If you don't want to be part of the team, if you're not a team guy, get the fuck out of here.
All I know is, I mean, I always like to give young people the chance to, because they're not fully there yet. Everyone deserves a chance to grow up and get that opportunity.
Well, Alabama had this problem as well. They had a guy several years back, was Blake Barnett. Guy was a 5-star coming in, hyped up. He started off the season as the starter, and within a few games, Jalen Hurts, who was a true freshman at the time, replaced him. And Blake Barnett actually quit on Alabama during mid-season. Like, he didn't even play out the season. He just said, "Fuck it, I'm gone." That's the kind of motherfuckers you do not want on your team. If you don't want to work for it, if you expect a handout, get the fuck out.
Agreed. And Coldus Bryant said Barnett committed to Notre Dame originally. I guess I'd forgotten about that. Not that
Barnett was all over the place, though. I mean, I remember his recruitment. Like, that dude couldn't even make up his fucking mind. After he left Alabama, he went to Arizona State. He sucked there, and then he went over to South Florida. He sucked there. It's just that dude played himself out of a career. That's the best way I can explain it. His shit career is his own fault.
Well, you're absolutely right on that. If you get a guy, regardless of how many stars he has next to his name, if he's just going to be about me, then yeah, that's somebody that's detrimental to your program. And I even say that about. I agree with you. When you said what Justin Fields did, if you expect everything to be handed to you and you think that you don't have to earn it, then get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I feel, and it don't matter who the player is or what team they play for. It's like, if you're gonna get to that team and you expect a handout and you don't want to work for it, it's like we don't have any use for you. And that's happened with several teams. It's not just a Georgia or Alabama thing. This happens pretty much everywhere.
Well, real quick, Adam here says, love to get in and talk to you guys next time y'all do this. Hey, Adam, if you want to get in here and chat for a couple minutes, if you got time, we'll gladly bring you in. I didn't think to offer that earlier, but yeah, if there's anyone that has wants to come in and talk to us, we'll be more than happy to invite you in for a few minutes.
And actually, come to think of it, like last year we kind of had this problem. Of course, not this season that just ended, but the season before. DeJuan Mathis, he started the year as our starting quarterback, dude, and it was apparent early on this guy was garbage, and he was replaced by Stetson Bennett, and sure enough, DeJuan Mathis ended up transferring to fucking Temple. It's like just because these guys, they're not the starter, they just leave, and I hate that shit, dude.
Well, real quick, yes, Adam, we're on StreamYard. Here's the link to the stream if you want to join us for a few minutes. I think you and I were talking about this before. Like, if guys if they feel that there's their situation there is not good, or if they can do better somewhere else, they should not be allowed to leave right away.
Yeah, and you know what? In Blake Barnett's case, Alabama was not a bad situation, because if you look at it, Mac Jones at one time was the third string quarterback. He was behind Tua and Hurts, and it was apparent he learned a lot by being a backup. And then, in 2020, when he gets his shot, he excels and he goes to the NFL. Blake Barnett could have had that, if he could have just sat back and be like, okay, I need to work on some things. Dude, you got Nick Saban. What's the problem? He could have ended up being the starter. Who knows? It's just he didn't want to work for it.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of these kids coming out of high school need to learn is you're not a god. You're not there yet. And Adam just joined us. Can I go ahead and bring him in, man?
Yeah, okay, bring him in.
You cool with that? All right. Adam, what's up, dude? Welcome.
What's going on, fellas?
Not too much. How are you doing?
Not too bad, man. Just appreciate it, hanging out, just listening to you guys.
Yeah, well, I hope we're giving you a good show here.
Hold on. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, my cam is jacked. My microphone's jacked up. Hang on one second.
Oh, been there, done that. No worries.
I heard him fine. I didn't hear any issues.
Yeah, he'll be back. No, I've been there too, where I've had issues with my mic or whatever. So I understand where he's coming from. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, these kids are not gods. I mean, I know that and I think that's the problem is they get. Okay, here's Adam again.
There we go.
Okay, so what's up, man? What's on your mind?
Not much, man. I know you're all talking about the NFL and all that, man. I went to the Titans game, and man, that was a downer.
Well, I saw what you said in the comments. Nine sacks, and you still take the loss. I mean, that does suck.
And it's a damn shame because I think Tennessee is a quarterback away. I just don't think Tannehill is that quarterback to get him over the hump. I really don't.
He's not. I mean, they got all the pieces in place. They need to find a quarterback, but unfortunately, we're stuck with him for at least one more year. I mean, he's like $50 million against the cap, so I mean, he's not going anywhere.
No. Who's a quarterback in the upcoming classes that you'd like to see in there at Tennessee?
Well, I mean, they could draft
if you go the draft route, that is.
I don't, dude. I think I know where Adam stands on this. I honestly don't think this is the draft you could find a quarterback, dude.
No, I mean,
very weak ass quarterback draft coming up.
I mean, this class, you're not going to find your Andrew Luck or your once in a generation. I mean, you're going to find a quality backup at this point. I don't think there's any starting quarterbacks in this class, honestly.
No, I mean, you look at the overall class, and you have guys in there like, excuse me. Let's see, you got. I know Desmond Ritter from Cincinnati's there. what's his name from North Carolina?
I think the guy that we're talking about could be the first quarterback taken. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much a crapshoot with a few, but I know the popular pick is Matt Corral. I know he was talked about as possibly being the first quarterback taken.
Well, will it be in the first round, though? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know. That I don't know. That's hard to say, man.
Kenny Pickett seems to be the guy that I think is going to go first, but I don't even think he's going to be top 10, top 15. Probably late first round, if you ask me, unless you got a desperate team.
Yeah, that's true. And let's see, Kenny Pickett, he's been at Pittsburgh for what, like a decade now?
At least. He's like Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, I mean, if you have that eligibility, you might as well use it. But no, he hasn't exactly played bad.
Too, Adam, that y'all, and I knew it was going to happen just because he's just beat up, dude. I knew y'all were getting a beat up has-been Julio. Y'all didn't get the Julio we had, man. Julio's they're done.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I knew going in that we were going to get. You just hope for the best, but I knew we were going to get maybe 300-400 yards, which is pretty much what we got out of him, and injured half the season, and there we go.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy anymore. He's missing way too many games. It's not the trade-off isn't there. Only playing 4 or 5 games a year and then missing the next 11 or 12. I mean, the trade-off is just not there.
But the problem was in the game Saturday, he actually made a contribution. It's just we had a sorry-ass quarterback through 3 picks.
Well, yeah, like I said, I don't think Tannehill's the answer.
Yeah, I don't think they draft a quarterback this year. I don't think there's any point. I mean, it'll be even to play behind Tannehill and learn behind Tannehill. I don't think anybody in this class is going to be your starting quarterback in 3 or 4 years.
I think not this year, but the following year, I think Tennessee should be able to find a pretty good quarterback.
I mean, in the 2023 class, Bryce Young probably coming out. I mean, I don't know why he would if he has a year like he did this year. C.J. Stroud, I mean, he's better than anybody in this class. Looking at the pro, I think he's going to be better than anybody in this class.
Yeah, this class, I mean, it's just could somebody surprise us? Yeah, probably, but honestly, I'm not really anticipating.
Well, here's the thing. I think a lot of people said that. I think it was the 2015 or 2016 class when Goff and Carson Wentz were the top 2 quarterbacks. I think this was the same conversation back then. Nobody really looked at those two as a franchise quarterback, and here we are years later, and what the fuck have they done? And they really haven't turned out to be shit, honestly. I mean, I know Carson Wentz looked pretty good that 1 year before he got injured, but other than that, I mean, those were the top 2 quarterbacks in that class, and I think it's to say neither of them have lived up to the hype.
You just know that Jared Goff is miserable right now playing in Detroit.
Oh, man.
Well, now he sees what fucking Stafford had to deal with for over a decade.
Exactly. And Carson Wentz, I wouldn't say Carson has it too bad because he is with Indianapolis, and he has more weapons around him and is in a better situation. But no, I definitely feel a lot more for Jared Goff than I do Carson Wentz.
I'm glad Matthew Stafford got out of there. He's getting his chance finally.
Yeah.
And I've been telling some folks, it's like, with what he's done with the Rams this year, I mean, just to imagine if he could have had this kind of team his whole career. Imagine what his numbers could have been. Could he possibly have a Super Bowl ring? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I agree. He could have gone to 15, 16 other teams and probably won a Super Bowl by now. Maybe 2.
Well, it just goes to show what can happen with a quarterback when he has all the pieces around him.
And anybody that ever said Stafford was the problem in Detroit, I mean, need to have their fucking head examined, because he was pretty much the one that was keeping them afloat for so long. I know he had
him and Megatron
at one time, but you know, God damn. I mean, when you don't put weapons around your quarterback, you can't really expect a whole lot.
I mean, he had one weapon for 7 or 8 years. Megatron.
Yeah.
That was it. That was literally all he had.
Well, and I know a lot of people don't like this guy. And like, listen, all I'm saying is I know the pain being a Bears fan, but I know a lot of people didn't like him. But Jay Cutler, when the Bears made the move for him back in 2009, I remember, like, okay, I mean, despite his attitude, he wasn't a bad quarterback. But all I can say is this, and no disrespect to him because he is going to be a Hall of Famer, but when Devin Hester is your number one wide receiver, you know there's some problems.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, we could use Matt Ryan as an example this year. Here he lost Julio. Calvin Ridley quit on the team. Holy shit! All he had was a rookie Pitts. What the fuck do you expect?
Okay, but this is the Bears we're talking about here.
Well, I'm just saying it can happen with any quarterback if you don't have any weapons around you, especially when you got a shit O-line like the Falcons have. Oh my God! I mean, quarterbacks can't walk on water.
No,
definitely cannot.
No. But you definitely have to give Matt Ryan a lot of credit with that for sure. I'm not taking anything away from him. All I'm saying is being a fan of a team that's kind of failed to evolve with the game of football. I'm just saying I get that pain.
Yeah.
At least evolving as far as offense goes.
I mean, in this modern era of football, you gotta have the receivers. I mean, it's nice to have the running back make some things happen, but nowadays, this is a passing league, and it's just not the same as it used to be. You got to have an offensive line that can hold up in pass protection, and you need wide receivers and tight ends that can make big plays. And if you don't have it, I'm sorry, you ain't winning shit.
And that's why I think the Titans fell. I mean, yeah, you got Derrick Henry, but they're trying to play old school football, run the ball, play defense, and they did that well. But when you get to the playoffs, you got to get over the hump. You got to evolve, like you said. And Ryan Tannehill is not that guy.
No, a quarterback has to be able to do more than just throw the ball. You got to be able to scramble. You got to be able to get out of there, and that's just why Patrick Mahomes is the freak that he is, because he knows how to do that.
Now, if Tennessee had the 2016 version of Julio, who knows?
Yeah, but the problem is there's not too many Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen showing up.
No, they're a different kind of breed. I agree with you there, Adam.
I mean, I really don't see any quarterback, especially in this class. But who knows? I mean, that Malik Willis from Liberty, he's pretty intriguing. I hadn't seen him play a whole lot, but I saw enough of him that he might do well in the league.
Hey, anything's possible. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys from, the lower levels come and really contribute.
I know we were talking about evolving, with the game. I'll say, Georgia has kind of stayed traditional. We don't really have the flashy wide receivers that go along with this modern era of football. I guess Adam said it. We won, I think, playing old school football, running the ball and a killer defense. We don't run this spread shit, I mean, we're a pro style offense. I mean, look at our stable of running backs. I mean, we're built to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely are.
Well, and all I know is I'll tell you one thing. And this is Adam, I am not insulting him. I would have been just fine if we did draft him. But if you're going to use like Mac Jones, for example, if you're going to use a quarterback like him, a pocket passer, then you better have one damn good offensive line to protect him, especially in this day and age of football.
Oh yeah,
because I guarantee you, and I'm not trying to just change the topic here.
It really doesn't matter if it's a pocket passer or a scrambler. I mean,
well, I just wanted to add that in there.
I hate to bring up bad memories, but look at the national championship game. Bryce Young was running for his life. I think you got to have an offensive line, period, no matter what kind of quarterback you got there.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have that. No matter if it's college level, high school level, pro level, especially college and pro level.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if the Bears picked Mac Jones over Justin Fields, I guarantee you with that Bears offensive line, Mac Jones would probably be dead now.
Well, that's what I said earlier with JT. That's why I stood behind Stetson, and I thought he gave us the best chance to win because Stetson is a lot more mobile. I mean, Adam, you saw the national championship game. Y'all sacked Stetson Bennett 5 times. How many times would we been sacked if JT was back there?
Double that, at least.
At least.
So,
like, if JT was playing, we'd probably lose.
Most likely.
And it just goes back to the overall point of this topic. You have to be able to evolve with the game and make the proper adjustments, because even though, Magnum, like you said, the old school football worked for Georgia and they had a lot of success with it, they also did make adjustments when they had to. And they went a different route when things weren't working.
Well, I'll say this. The adjustments were mostly done on defense because, I mean, we really didn't change our offense up too much at all.
That's true.
Even at halftime when we were down 9-6 against Alabama, we came out in the second half and we still played the same, and in the second half, our run game started opening up. We had more success running the ball, and that opened up the passing attack. And that's why we had success through the air in the second half. So our run game, I mean, we didn't really change anything. It's just our run game started working, and it didn't really work in the first half. I mean, we struggled moving the ball, period. Alabama was moving the ball. I mean, yeah, we were holding them to field goals, but they were moving the ball. We couldn't.
Well, it goes back to sometimes like recruiting and stuff like that. When you got teams like Alabama and Georgia, and there's some others, you got to get the talent. I mean, you literally have to. And I think Georgia in the second half just out-athleted. I don't know if that's the correct term, Alabama in the second half of that game.
Well, that could be it. But, I mean, at the same time, it looked like Alabama was just getting tired because the way Georgia started running on them.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't happening in the first half. So I think the constant physicality that Georgia was bringing, that just wore Alabama down. And that's something we didn't do in the first game in the SEC title game. It was a whole different team that we saw out there that night. I mean, they were just being downright physical and nasty.
And you can attribute that to your defense also. I mean, Alabama 3 and out. I know you got a couple of field goals, but I mean, 3 and out, interception. Alabama's defense. I don't remember what the final time of possession was in that game, but it had to have been heavily in the favor of Georgia, especially in the second half.
Well, actually, the total time of possession was actually in favor of Alabama,
wow,
and that's simply because y'all were moving the ball while we were struggling to move the ball. Like in the first half, it was 3 and out. We had 2 drives in the first half that ended in 2 field goals. Other than that, it was a shit show. But in the game, though, I mentioned this to Sean earlier, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I personally think that call that they ruled a fumble on Stetson Bennett, I think that was one of the biggest bullshit calls I've ever seen in my life. I think that was clear as day that it was a forward pass. And if it wasn't for that dude, I honestly don't think Alabama scores a single touchdown because that was the only touchdown they got.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I mean, if you want me to be honest, I drank a lot that night, so the second half was a little fuzzy to me. But yeah, I'll agree with you on the Stetson forward pass.
I mean, if they were gonna, here's what I think. Now, I think it was the first play of the game actually, where we sacked Bryce Young and we took the ball. It was a scoop and score, and they said his arm was going forward.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Even if you're going to rule that an incomplete pass, that's intentional grounding. That was literally right in front of him, and that should have been the call. And then when it's clear as day that we're throwing a pass, they rule it a fucking fumble. And I just didn't see the consistency there. So the game actually could have been, if that scoop and score actually counted, Jesus, it would
have been bad.
Yeah.
Well, my check cleared that day, but y'all still won anyway.
Well, Adam, I mean, you can't be too disappointed. I mean, you have gotten to enjoy a lot of national championships recently, so.
Let me tell you, there's been Alabama fans on, like, we should have won the national title. This team, honestly, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, no way that I thought they would be playing for a national title. They're a young team, very inconsistent on the offensive line, very inconsistent, period. And just to be honestly in the national championship game was very lucky.
Well, I'll say this, in the SEC championship game, Alabama's offensive line looked like it was the best in the goddamn country, because how do you go from looking like grade A shit against Auburn to looking like the best offensive line against the best defensive line? I mean,
that goes back to saying, like, so inconsistent all year. What gave up, 7 sacks to Auburn the week before that?
Yeah, and y'all didn't give up a single sack to us in the SEC championship game. Like, that was by far the best y'all's offensive line has looked all year. I say, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened that night. I mean, that was clearly their best. I mean, even against crappy teams, they didn't play that good as they did in the SEC championship game. But, I mean, I guess it is what it is.
Well, this is off subject real briefly here, but Adam, this is where I'm a true dipshit, because I had forgotten that you and I are Facebook friends. So why I was questioning who you were,
it's all good, man.
Completely dipshit move on my part.
No, man, it's all good.
I try to keep up with everyone and everything, but sometimes it doesn't always work.
Oh, man, I understand. Trust me. I don't even hardly get on YouTube anymore, man. I make a video here and there, but it's nothing like the old TTC days. I don't really get on that much anymore. So
those were definitely the days for sure, man. Yeah. But one thing I was gonna bring up to you is, I got to tell you, I've heard several Alabama fans refer to this as a quote rebuilding year. Well, let me just say this: if this is a rebuilding year, then I would love to have this kind of rebuilding year all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know anything Alabama does until Nick Saban retires, a rebuilding year. I mean, they consistently get top recruiting classes, and I mean, you've seen what they got out of the transfer portal. Sorry about that, Magnum. What do you think about Burton?
Honestly, I think I mentioned this to Sean earlier. I mean, I'm under the opinion if somebody don't wants to be here, get the fuck out. Well, number two, Burton would not have seen much playing time this year had it not been for injuries, because, like I said, to start the year, Pickens was out, Blaylock was out, Kearis Jackson was out. So that's 3 receivers right there. I mean, we had no choice but to put him in. I mean, this next season, we've got Blaylock coming back, plus Ladd McConkey was taking a lot of his snaps. I read something about that. That's one of the reasons he decided to transfer. He's not even the 3rd best receiver on our roster, dude. So, good riddance.
Let me tell you something. If Brock Bowers was draft eligible, I would love for the Titans to get him this year.
Brock Bowers, and I know why he was let off the Mackey Award list, and it's because these people are way too traditionalist. They don't give those kind of awards to freshmen. But I'm sorry, Brock Bowers was the best tight end in the fucking country this year, and can't convince me otherwise.
I don't think it was close. I didn't see every other tight end in the country, but just what I saw, even playing against Alabama, they couldn't stop that guy. Especially in the SEC championship game.
The dude had like 900 yards and 13 receiving touchdowns as a goddamn tight end and as a freshman. Like, what?
Well, I gotta rep my guys a little bit here too. What about Michael Mayer from Notre Dame? He wasn't on that list, and he's a sophomore. And look at the shit that he's done.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, I guess Tebow kind of broke the mold when he won the Heisman as a sophomore, but the other awards, it's like these people, I guess, don't believe in putting underclassmen as a finalist.
Which I think is bullshit.
I mean, if you go back to the night, the early '80s. Hell, Herschel didn't win the Heisman until his junior year, and you could argue, he should have won one before that one. I mean, it's just the fact that underclassmen just really get overlooked for these awards.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just underclassmen. I mean, how about defensive guys in general?
It's really hard for a defensive player. It's just because a lot of times they just don't get any numbers, and unfortunately that's what is mostly looked at. And that's one of the reasons why Jordan Davis got a lot of hype for the Heisman. Now, he didn't have gaudy numbers, but what he did was eat up several offensive linemen, and that allowed one of our linebackers as a free run to the quarterback. I mean, I can't state the importance of Jordan Davis being on that field. I mean, fuck the numbers. Without Jordan Davis on that defensive line, we're not as good of a defense.
I just had to throw that point in there, but you're right. It's not defense that's scoring you the points. I get that.
Well, I can even tell you, like for the Titans, Jeffrey Simmons, all he does is eat up blocks all day and allowing the linebackers to come flying across constantly. That's why they had 9 sacks. I know he had 3 of them, but I mean, he's just a monster in the middle, and you need that kind of guy, no matter if you're playing at the college or the pro level.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. It, like Magnum said, it is hard for a defensive player to win. I mean, of course, I'm going to defend my guy. Will Anderson had all those stats, and he didn't.
Now, I will say, Will Anderson should have finished above Aiden Hutchinson. Dude, when we played Michigan, like, Aiden Hutchinson didn't even sniff Stetson Bennett. Like, we shut that son of a bitch, slapped the hell down. Nothing about that motherfucker impressed me at all. Will Anderson had more success against us, and I think just from my eyes, Will Anderson is far superior.
I agree. And honestly, depending on how it plays out next year, because Will Anderson's coming back next year, I don't think he'll win the Heisman, but if he puts up the same numbers or even better, I mean, he's got to be there as a Heisman finalist, I would say, depending on how it plays out with everybody else.
Yeah.
He should have been there. They should have finished above Aiden Hutchinson, that's for sure. I mean, I understand Bryce Young winning it, but if there was going to be, I guess, a defensive player that should have been first in line, it should have been Will Anderson, not fucking Aiden Hutchinson. That's for goddamn sure.
Well, I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I would have rather have had Will Anderson win it than Bryce Young. But I'm a defensive guy, man. I love watching defense.
Well, I mean, I can understand that, because also one of the things I look at, it's like without Williams, I mean, well, even when Williams was still in the game, in the national championship game, I mean, Bryce Young made some god-awful throws, and then when he was without both of his guys, he was running for his life, and he just seemed lost a lot of times.
Yeah. Oh, he was. There's no chemistry. I mean, obviously there was not a whole lot of chemistry between him and the other receivers that came in. I know they're young, they're freshmen and all that, but I mean, it didn't look comfortable. Like I said, Georgia defense had him running for his life, and even when they hit him in the hands, they dropped it.
It's gonna kill you every time.
Yeah, I still think, at least, I mean, I know he didn't have the numbers, but the impact that he had, I mean, I do think Jordan Davis should have been on that list. I mean, he got a lot of hype for it.
Yeah, I agree.
The importance of him being on that field, I just can't stress that enough, because I remember one of the games late in the season, I forget which one, they put a graph on the TV that showed his effect when he's in the game and when he's out of the game. Dude, it's like a night and day difference. Our defense was way better when he was actually in the game.
How much did that guy weigh? Like 370, 380?
Yeah, they were throwing weight around from mostly what I heard was 360. I mean, it could be 370, but the guy's like 6'6", 6'7", and just a monster. So I mean, he's a big son of a bitch.
Oh, he's a huge dude. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you ain't pushing that guy around.
He was standing next to I saw one of the pictures. He was standing next to Devontae Wyatt, and Devontae Wyatt is not a small guy. You know, he's like 6'3", about 325, 330. Jordan Davis dwarfed that motherfucker, dude. Like, it was amazing how small Wyatt looked.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, what kind of Wheaties are those guys eating?
Well, I do know in the national championship game, you know, after the SEC title game, you know, they caught a lot of flack for, you know, people saying they're not that the defense wasn't conditioned, that they got tired, and they said that they spent pretty much the rest of the season, you know, working on conditioning, and it looked like it in the national title game. Jordan Davis seemed like he was playing with a full bar of energy all game, and if you got somebody that big that can play like that all game, even in the NFL, look the fuck out.
Oh, absolutely. You guys going to be a beast in the NFL.
Well, an interesting fact about that, about, you know, being gassed and all that, and even though he's a sore subject for me right now, Brian Kelly, when he was still coaching at Notre Dame, he did a little experiment during practice one day a few years ago. I forget exactly when, but he had all the guys on the team, I think quarterbacks included, just constantly hitting bags for 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, everybody on the team was gassed, soaked with sweat, all that. Well, turns out statistically, in an hour football game, 4 15-minute quarters, that is exactly how much time of contact there is in the game, is only 5 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. Only 5 minutes of actual contact in the entire game. And it makes sense too, because, you know, when you figure in, okay, in the huddle, getting ready for the play, it makes sense. All that stuff.
I mean, play takes what, 8-10 seconds?
Yeah,
normally,
usually, yeah,
something
normally.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it makes sense.
So I just thought that was crazy because you know, it just you talk about guys being gassed after that long, but yet at the same time, based on the stats, they've only technically been playing and hitting for 5 minutes. But yeah, no, it's just you're right though. Conditioning, Magnum, you're right. Conditioning is everything in that situation. Absolutely.
Well, especially for your bigger guys, you know, because they're the ones toting around all that weight. You know, I think they have to put in a little extra work. I mean, just being that big, you know, I mean, it's only natural that it would wear on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, exactly. If you're like a 300+ pound offensive lineman or defensive lineman like him, then yeah, you better be in shape.
I mean, I'm 41 years old and I'm 235 pounds, and I get winded just walking to the kitchen. So I can imagine these guys.
Yeah, I've got about 25, 30 pounds on you, and there's times where I felt like that, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to judge that now because I've been out of commission for almost a month.
Oh dang! What happened?
I had to have shoulder surgery.
Oh dang!
So I haven't been really able to do much, but hey, at least I got the slings off. I still have to wear it when I go to bed, but yeah, I mean, you're not really able to go to the gym. You just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, been there, done that. Understand.
But even before surgery, you know, you do feel you do feel the age starting to catch up with you a little bit. So I do understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's definitely caught up to me, especially in the last. I mean, as soon as I hit my 40s, boy, it's setting in.
Oh, like I said, I just turned 36 this month, so I'm approaching it. But yeah, my dad's told me the same thing. Well, once you hit 40, Sean, you're gonna start to feel it. Like,
yeah.
All right, and I'm starting to realize. Okay, he's got a little bit of a point.
Yeah.
But also another problem for me is food has flavor.
Same here.
Yeah, the metabolism definitely slows down. I will say that.
But then again, I none of us are professional athletes either, so
No, exactly.
there's not much pressure on us to try to do all that.
No, definitely not. I'm not pushing around 300-pound guys.
Exactly, and you don't or you don't have 300-pound guys coming at you either.
Exactly.
But so yeah, is there anything you guys have on your mind about whatever? Because I'm almost kind of out of stuff to talk about.
I guess the next thing we're just waiting on, it's coming up here real soon, is National Signing Day.
Yeah. Look, February. January. I can't even remember anymore.
It's early February.
Yeah.
Well, there's the early signing day. That was last month in December. But yeah, I think the official signing day is like the first week of February.
Yeah.
So that's the big one where all the guys who didn't early commit can make their announcements and shit. And
it's really hard to tell nowadays, man, because commitments just don't mean shit no more.
No, they don't.
It's just so hard to predict who's gonna sign where or whatever. I mean, I know we've got some guys that are already signed and early enrollees, but as far as the guys left out there, I mean, you don't fucking know. Especially now with the fucking NIL, man.
Oh,
yeah.
The NIL and the transfer portal has made things turn things upside down.
Yeah. Well, all I know is cold as Brian says, we need receivers bad. I agree with him at Notre Dame because in the Fiesta Bowl, we were only playing with like 3 or 4 scholarship receivers. So what's the
situation? They lost Williams, Mechie, and Bolden. That's a fuckload of production.
Yeah, but nobody's going to feel sorry for Alabama.
Well, no, I'm not saying that y'all definitely need some receivers, and hopefully with Brian Robinson being gone, I mean, there's question marks back there running back for you guys too.
Well, the guy from Georgia Tech, Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, I've watched his highlight tapes. I don't watch any Georgia Tech games, but he's pretty legit.
He's and when he plays against a good defense, he ain't worth a fuck, man.
Oh, well, I can't wait then.
I mean, it's easy to look good when you play against bums.
Well, yeah, that's not going to be good. But, I mean, Alabama lost Jason McClellan, Roydell Williams, both ACL injuries. And those guys proved to be pretty effective when they were in the game behind Brian Robinson. So, getting them back. I know Kamara Wheaton actually left yesterday, but I think they'll have a pretty good stable of running backs this coming season.
Yeah, that's kind of the same situation with us. I mean, we just lost our stud running back, Kyron Williams. He declared for the draft. So now next in line we have guys like Logan Diggs, who was a true freshman last year, did pretty well. We had this other kid named Audric Emity, or however you say his last name. So we could use a little rehaul in running backs ourselves. And as I said earlier, with receivers only playing with 3 or 4 scholarship ones in the Fiesta Bowl, I agree with Colt as Brian. That's definitely something we need. So plus some offensive line wouldn't hurt either.
Well, I know one thing I'm happy about, because now, guess what? Notre Dame is going to catch the blunt end of the 1980 jokes now.
Well, okay, that's actually just you coming out publicly with it, Magnum, because you've been sharing that already.
I did?
Well, personally on social media and all that.
No, that was I did that. That was a Tennessee post. I said the 1998 is the new 1980. That was poking fun at Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
That was a funny ass joke, man. I laughed my ass off when I saw that post.
You're right though. We're going to be the ones that We're going to become the Chicago Cubs of college football pretty soon.
Yeah, as far as like the 1980 jokes, yeah, that's Notre Dame. But they're not in our conference, so I'm going to be joking mostly about Tennessee. I mean, for fuck's sake, they haven't even won the SEC since '98, much less a national championship.
Yeah. All I know is just with Notre Dame, yes, I was alive when we won our last national championship, and I still think we should claim 1993, but that's a different story. But I was only about to turn 3 years old when we beat West Virginia in the '89 Fiesta Bowl to clinch it. So I couldn't exactly enjoy it, you know?
Well, I mean, it's the same with me in the 1980. I was alive, but I was a little big thing. I don't remember that shit. So to finally be able to see one this year, and of course I'll remember this one, you know, I mean, for your sake, Sean, I hope Notre Dame gets you one day. I mean, I just can't put into words the feeling.
I just want to at least see a major bowl win to start, because we still haven't done that since the 1994 Cotton Bowl, and I hadn't even turned 8 yet. So it's like, damn. I mean, we can't even win a major bowl game. I mean, come on, and we've had our chances. This one was probably the best in a long ass time.
I'd get in this conversation, but I have no room to talk. So.
Yeah, you're on top of the world. What have you got to complain about?
Nothing.
Well, hold on now. There was before Nick Saban came around that Alabama was absolute doo-doo.
Yeah, they were shit.
Well, there was a time where you guys were on probation for 5 years under the Shula era.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. A lot of bad feelings with Tennessee fans with that one.
Well, you're kind of getting your payback now.
Oh yeah, we've more than earned our payback.
I mean, and I'm not going to put this on all Tennessee fans. And I mean, I know several Tennessee fans here on YouTube, and they're good people. But God Almighty, most of them sons of bitches just literally have no class at all. Y'all remember when Chubb got his knee hurt?
Oh yeah, I remember. I was watching that game.
The bitches were cheering, and then every year after that, they have signs that relate to Chubb's knee. They cheer injuries. It's like everything that's happening to them, I look at that as like that is the football god giving us, pleasure in watching them suffer.
Well, let me tell you, I live in Tennessee, and they're all Tennessee fans here are insufferable. There's some good ones.
I can.
But by and large, no, can't get along with them.
Well, I mean, most of them. I don't know if I can say most of them, but a lot of them, I guess they think they're still living in the Peyton Manning days. They talk like their team is on top of the world, like they've won 3 straight national championships. That's the way they talk.
If you lived here, you'd understand, man. It's Peyton Manning is God, and everybody else is beneath.
Mike Biederman in the comments here says, "I'm glad to have Chubb in Cleveland."
Chubb is an absolute monster, man, and he needs more opportunity. I hate the fact that they're allowing Baker to throw the ball like he does. Like, dude, you got fucking Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the backfield. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Like,
it's Cleveland.
Them more, dude. And I've said this for the last several years. If Chubb would have the carries Derrick Henry has, Chubb would be leading the NFL in rushing.
I agree. I don't know what his yards per carry average is in the NFL, but it's got to be towards the top.
I can look those stats up real quick.
I mean, it has to be at least 5 yards a carry.
He's having to play an offense where Baker Mayfield is absolutely garbage throwing the football, and he's having to split carries with Kareem Hunt. I mean, I'm just picturing him in that Tennessee Titans offense, the numbers he would have.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's see, 2021. He is averaging 5.5 yards a carry. 5.5 yards a carry.
I'm sure that led the league. Had to be at least top 2 or 3.
I can look that up too while I'm here.
I don't know. Maybe Jonathan Taylor's a little bit more, but I'm sure he's at least number 2.
Well, see, and the thing is, too, I know Chubb was hurt for a few games this year, and I know Derrick Henry was injured a lot. Jonathan Taylor wouldn't even be talked about if Chubb or Henry wouldn't have been hurt because he was behind both of them.
I agree.
Rushing yards per carry. Let's see. Okay. Oh, wait, that's postseason stats. I want regular season.
Well, Chubb didn't. No, they didn't. Cleveland didn't even play postseason this year.
Yeah, no. That was what was on the page here. They had postseason. I want regular season.
Yeah, that's what they're posting on ESPN now. As soon as you click on it.
Okay. The top 2 guys for yards average per yards per carry is Jamal Agnew and Elijah Moore, 2 wide receivers. But I'm sure those are from long ass.
Yeah, those don't count.
Yeah.
Those are probably fucking jet sweeps or some shit.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Where is he at? Nick Chubb. Okay, rank. It looks like Nick Chubb is 6th at yards per carry.
I'm actually surprised he's not higher than that. But still 6. That's still.
Well, I think, and of course, this I'm looking on ESPN, and yeah, it's kind of scattered. So, but yeah, it says that he's 6th.
But that includes the wide receivers, though, right? We're talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of scattered here, but
yeah, if you just rank up the running backs, then he's going to be up there.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I got to be more specific on. I'll be specific, I guess, because every page I'm looking at right now is including quarterbacks and receivers.
Oh shit!
Oh, for the love of God!
Well, I mean, he's up there. I mean,
okay, this one looks like he's tied for 2nd between Rashad Penny and Tony Pollard. Because Pollard is 5.5, Nick Chubb is 5.5, and then Rashad Penny is 6.3.
Okay.
Assuming this is right.
Well, that sounds more right. That sounds a lot more correct. Him being top 2, because ever since he's been in the league, he's been averaging shit like that.
Well, you know the other running back in Georgia there. I don't know, maybe it's just the system he's played in. I thought Sonny Michel would definitely get make an impact in the NFL, but I think
the problem with that is he started off in New England, and we know that was Tom Brady's team.
Yeah.
And that's been New England's blueprint for the longest. You don't see many running backs there have gaudy numbers. That's just the way they run their offense. And now this year he's with the Rams, and well, when you got Stafford, you got Cooper Kupp that had the year he had, then you bring in Beckham. Holy shit. I mean, you ain't going to have much rushing numbers.
Yeah, I agree.
Going back to Nick Chubb at Cleveland real quick, Mike Biederman says Stefanski, I would assume, the offensive coordinator at Cleveland.
He's the coach.
Oh, he's the coach? I forgot who their coach was. Shows you how much I know about Cleveland. So he says that Stefanski sucks at play calling when he should run, he passes. When he passes, he should run.
Well, what they need to do is they need to get rid of Baker Mayfield's sorry ass. I mean, I said this even while he was still at Oklahoma. I knew this dude was going to be a bum. He's not a good NFL quarterback. I
mean, I can't say he's the worst that I've ever seen, but yeah, you're right. He's doing just enough, though.
Yeah, not the worst, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, he's the one that's holding that Cleveland offense back.
I don't know. I might take him over Ryan Tannehill right now.
I wouldn't.
Well, I guess Baker has done enough to earn those insurance commercials.
God, I'm so tired of seeing those commercials.
I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, he's getting at it. I mean, he's a Heisman winner. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at a lot of those guys, I mean, the Heisman House commercials, and then some of those guys, they do other stuff.
Well, didn't Manziel win the Heisman too? Or
Yeah.
was he just a finalist?
No, he won. I do believe he won the Heisman.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So
he's a freshman. Did he win as a freshman?
I think he was a redshirt freshman. Technically a second-year guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just shows you that Heisman pool ain't all what it's cracked up to be.
Man, Cleveland knows how to draft some quarterbacks, don't they?
I'm telling you. Fuck.
Hey, do we know how to draft some quarterbacks?
Well, in your defense, I mean, Jay Cutler wasn't a bad quarterback. He really wasn't.
No, but we didn't draft him.
No, that's true. You didn't draft him.
Because he started with Denver. I don't think we've drafted a really good quarterback since probably since Jim McMahon, honestly.
You know what a crazy stat that I read I say not too long ago, but it was a couple years ago. I did not know that Chicago is the only franchise to never have a 4,000-yard passer.
Well, I mean, for all those years, it was run, because you had, running back greats like, my man here, Sweetness. And then you have Gale Sayers, the Kansas Comet, and then
yeah, I mean, I can understand in those days, but I mean, in this modern era of football, it's still not to have dude, half of the league throws for 4,000 now.
The closest we had in the modern era was Jay Cutler did pretty well passing, but before him, the closest we had was Eric Kramer.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't really consider that this modern era though.
Well, I'm saying as close as I could possibly think of before this modern era.
Yeah, and with the way football is now, I mean, there's really no excuse why you can't get a quarterback that can throw for 4,000 yards. I mean, goddamn, especially adding another game now. I mean, half of the league is throwing for 4,000. Back in the day, if you hit 4,000 yards, you were the goddamn MVP of the league.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Yeah, no, Jay Cutler had done the best for us in the quote modern era. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times with us he threw for 3,000 plus yards. He came close to 4,000. 1, 2, 3 times he came close to 4,000. 3,659 one year. 3812, 3,666, and that was the closest in his time in Chicago. Before that, the closest was Eric Kramer. So yeah, it just goes to show that this team historically has always been run first.
Yeah, and of course nowadays you gotta be able to throw the ball. I mean, this is not the Emmitt Smith, Thurman Thomas, Barry Sanders era anymore.
No, it's not. It's all about passing.
And that goes to show you right there. Tannehill threw for like 3,600 yards this year. I mean, they ain't gonna get it done. Not in this season.
Well, especially in the 17 games now. I mean, if you got 17 games. If you can't sniff 400, I mean, not 400. If you can't sniff 4,000 pass yards, there's a problem.
I mean, what is that? 17 games? I mean, 3,400 yards is 200 yards a game. That's not going to get it done.
No, hell no.
Do you guys think they should have added that 17th game?
I wasn't a fan of it.
I mean, granted, I get it. All they did was they took away one preseason game. Okay, but.
Well, and I'm going to get one of my reasons why I'm not a big fan of it. And again, this goes back to the fans nowadays. It's like some of these records are going to start falling, make no mistake. And immediately these dumbass fans are going to consider that person the best ever. The moment somebody breaks Calvin Johnson's single season record. Hell, Cooper Kupp had a chance this year. And I guarantee you, if it would have happened, people would say, oh my God, Cooper Kupp had the greatest receiving season of all time. Get the fuck out of here.
He had one extra game.
Yep, exactly. There should be that asterisk beside it, but it's all about the money. That's all. That's about it anymore.
Yeah, I think once we had COVID hit and they lost all the money from no fans in the stands. Well, the ones that didn't allow fans, that is, because there were some that did. They're trying to make that back.
Take a hit now. Even the 5,000-yard season is not going to be looked at the same. A 2,000-yard rusher ain't going to be looked at the same anymore. I mean, this extra game, it really took away from some things, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Magnum. You nailed it there.
Guys, I'm going to have to get out of here. I've got to get up pretty early, so I appreciate y'all letting me come on. I'd like to do it again anytime.
Hey, no problem, man. Whenever I do this again, I mean, obviously, I'm more busy on the Two Irish Brothers show when Ben and I are doing it. But yeah, next time I'm on here, we'll be in touch for sure.
Sounds good.
By the way, Adam, I got something that you should probably have framed. See, I went to the grocery store the other day, and ironically, my total came to 33.18.
Of course.
I'm sorry.
Did you keep? Did you keep that receipt?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, you should have taken a picture of it first.
Yeah, you should just post that. All right, guys.
That's some funny shit.
Y'all have a good one.
Hey,
all
take
right,
it easy, Adam.
See you, man.
Yeah, that was awesome. Great discussion there. I loved it. Yeah. So, shit, I didn't realize we were pushing 2.5 hours.
Good shit tonight, man. Good shit.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of it. One thing I was going to ask you about earlier, and I know you. This is kind of getting all over the place from NFL and whatnot, but who cares? Why having a script's no fun, right?
Yeah, fuck it.
So I mentioned to you earlier about a guy that I watch from time to time, that the one that calls himself Golden Blue Dude, and big West Virginia fan, and he made a video one time that was really intriguing to me. And this goes back to when we were talking about Notre Dame and joining the conference and all that. Now this guy, I've talked to him behind the scenes. He's a cool dude, and apparently he actually has sources and connections to not just West Virginia, but to the ACC as well. But of course, nobody who has those kind of sources is going to reveal names, and understandably so.
Well, and also at the same time, let's not forget, this is the internet.
Yes, I agree.
Bullshit.
But regardless of that, this is something that I wanted to discuss with you, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So, and even if that's not the case, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if the ACC is at least discussing this or discussing options. But apparently what the ACC is wanting to do is they want to add West Virginia and Notre Dame to the ACC as a package deal. And there's been apparently a few different discussions about what they're going to do, like who's going to be in what division, so on and so forth. Well, this was a scenario that he talked about that I wanted to get your opinion on. One of the things that the ACC is talking about doing, if they were to add Notre Dame and West Virginia, that would make the conference 16 teams, right?
Okay.
They would then play 9 conference games. So that's the first part of it. The second part of what they would do is this. They would then take the ACC and split it into 3 pods, but Notre Dame would not be in one of those pods. They would stand alone, and the remaining 15 would be in 3 pods of 5. So here's how the scheduling would work. No. This is pretty far-fetched, but it's got to be said. And I know you're going to love this.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish before I say my piece.
I know, but it's a lot to explain. I know. So the way it would work for Notre Dame is this. They would still get to play Navy every year, and then they would get to play, you know how we have Stanford and USC on the schedule?
Yeah.
We would get to play one of those two California schools every year, but we wouldn't play both of them in the same year. We would alternate USC 1 year, Stanford 1 year, and then repeat, right? Well, the crazy thing is those two games on Notre Dame's schedule against Navy and either of one of the two California schools, those two games would count as ACC conference games for Notre Dame. And the rest of the scheduling for the rest of the ACC, they would play the four teams in their pod. They would play them every year, and then two more from the other two pods, and then a +1 if they're not playing Notre Dame. So that's how it would work for the other ACC teams. Notre Dame would play the 9 conference games as well, but only 7 of them against ACC opponents, while the California game and Navy would count as ACC conference games for Notre Dame. I know it's a mouthful, but I got to get your thoughts on that.
Well, first and foremost, bullshit. Dude, first of all, even they're not going to count playing Stanford or fucking
one of the two California schools.
They're not going to count that as a goddamn conference game. This guy has been playing way too much Madden and fucking around realigning conferences to come up with that nonsense.
I'm just saying it was an interesting video, and it would not surprise me if it's at least being discussed by the ACC.
This whole pod thing where Notre Dame would be by itself from 3 pods. What, dude? Who is this fucking nutcase? There's literally no way. If Notre Dame joins a conference, they're going to be just like everybody else. If they join the ACC, then they would play conference games that would count as conference games. If they play Navy or Stanford or whatever, that would be what's called a non-conference game. They're not going to count that.
Yeah, because I mean, even he said it was far-fetched too, and I agree with him. Oh, look who's back! I mentioned Golden Blue Dude because I wanted to talk about that video that he'd made. Of course, Johnny Waffle here is back saying that he's a fraud. But I just said it was an interesting conversation, breakfast time. I didn't say I believed it.
That has to be one of the most asinine theories I've ever heard that when it comes to college football.
Yeah. Well, even he said it himself that there's no way that the ACC would actually agree to that. It's way too far-fetched.
And honestly,
and as a fan, let's hypothetically say
the thing, even if they brought Notre Dame and West Virginia in, which I can see that possibly happening because with Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12, coming to the SEC, I honestly think it's a matter of time before that conference just folds because it's going to be absolute dog shit without those. So I can see them probably bringing in West Virginia and Notre Dame, but at the same time, the ACC is not going to get rid of their conference championship game. There's too much money involved in it for them, and this era with the college football playoff, you need that championship game.
Yeah,
dude, there's just so much wrong with.
Well, and apparently in that scenario, they still would have a conference championship. It'd just be between the two best teams out of all those pods. But yeah, it would be. It's a completely far-fetched scenario. But real quick, Magnum, I got to bring up these comments. And this guy's real name is John Waffle, not Breakfast Time. He says Golden Blue Dude is a fraud. He says I'm believing a clickbaiter. Well, first off, John, I never said that I believe that. And I'm not saying that that's going to officially happen. I just said it was an interesting scenario. And also, you call him a fraud. Well, you called me a fraud too. And I can see how you would think that maybe he's a fraud because, like Magnum said, this is the internet. I'm not stupid. But exactly how am I a fraud though? Because I never claimed to have any inside sources to Notre Dame or to any conference. Because you called me a fraud in the video once too. I did hear that. So how am I a fraud? What have I said or claimed that is fraudulent?
I would love to know that guy's sources. Like dude, I'm calling bullshit on all of it. Like no, just no.
Yeah, I will say this: I could see the ACC maybe discussing that idea, but there's no way that something like that would fly. And like I said, whether he's true with having sources or not, you got to give him credit that even he said that was far-fetched. But I've talked to this dude behind the scenes. He's not a bad guy. And whether he has sources or not to a team or a particular conference, I don't care. I don't care either way. The only way I believe something is when it actually happens.
Oh.
But I'm saying that scenario is pretty interesting. Like, can you believe that a conference would actually let that happen?
There's no way. No fucking way.
The only way, and I said this too in a comment, the only way that I could see the ACC allowing that to happen is for two reasons. One, Notre Dame plays Navy every year, and we all know the story behind that. Navy helped Notre Dame out during World War II. And number two, we've been playing USC every year since I want to say 1924, I believe. So, but still though, I mean, and I get it. No, we all know that Notre Dame is a big brand, but that's just pushing it. There's no way that would actually fly and that a conference would give so much to one team.
Yeah, and I guess the biggest bullshit statement that he said was the fact that Notre Dame playing Stanford or USC would count as a conference game. I have not heard such bullshit in my life.
And I think the only reason that they would allow that part to happen, aside from the two reasons I just gave, is because since we're an independent right now and have never been in a conference aside from the COVID year, which was a technicality, I guess you'd call it. We've already had, in the future schedules, we already have these big matchups set up, and people want to see those matchups. So I think they would be thinking of it from a marketing point of view too. Because if you have all these less spots on the schedule, then you can't play those games. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do think if Notre Dame were to actually join the ACC, it would definitely help their strength of schedule out for sure, because then you would play the Clemsons and, of course, Florida State's not going to be down forever. They're going to be good again. Of course, you can still your non-conference games. You could still keep Stanford, USC. It's like your non-conference games would be pretty legit, man. Like you wouldn't be playing, FCS opponents. So
Navy for sure would be one of those non-conference games every year.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it would actually improve their strength of schedule, and in the long run, would improve their chances of making the college football playoff.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, it'd be a better route because I agree. You get that conference championship game as a chance to make up for a stumble that you had along the way. I get that, but I just know that you'd be losing a lot of opportunities to play matchups like we're able to schedule now. But if we did, I'll tell you this: even if we did end up joining the ACC or the Big Ten after 2036, whatever, my allegiance is not to a conference; it's to my guys.
I mean, well, you could still keep those big time matchups, like we were saying. Of course, you keep Navy year in and year out, and then maybe every other year switch up between USC and Stanford, or keep both. I mean, you would play like 8 conference games, and that's not including your conference championship game.
Right.
So 8 conference games. So that would leave 4 games open, and you could keep Navy, Stanford, and USC, and then you got an extra one in there for whoever. It can still be done. And that would think of the strength of schedule y'all would have by keeping those two. Like I said, playing those guys every year along with the Clemsons and.
Well, I got to tell you though, honestly, if we were in the ACC now, our schedule would actually be the way the ACC is now. That is, our schedule would actually be weaker with how down that conference has been.
Well, it was like I said, Florida State, they're not going to be in this situation for.
No. I'm just saying as it stands right now. Of course, there's always that potential that Miami and Florida State will get better. Absolutely. I agree with you. But I'm just saying the way that conference has been overall, it would hurt our schedule. We're better off being an independent right now anyway. And people, something else I want to bring up too is, everyone talks about money, that we would make more money with the ACC than we would if we were an independent. Well, obviously people don't really do their research. Notre Dame right now, just as an independent, they make over $100 million a year, and like 75 million, 80 million, give or take, is the profit. That's more than a lot of teams make within their TV deals and shit.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you like arguments that I hear from people.
Well, I mean, I guess it all comes down to, I guess, what the university wants more. Do they want to make more money like that, or do they want to have a better shot at making the playoffs? I guess it just depends on what they want to do. I guess. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not going to claim to be an expert on Notre Dame's financial situation.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be. The discussion is good. Itself is good. It's a good discussion. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough call. But regardless of what they end up doing, I just want to win on the field. Conference, independent, makes no difference to me. And plus, we did show during the COVID year when the only year we were with the ACC is as cold as Brian mentions here. Oh, not that one. But he says the current ACC agreement is garbage. But yeah, he's right. We did almost win the ACC the only year we were in it. So we know we can handle a conference, no problem.
You know what I find hilarious about that?
What's that?
The fact that Notre Dame was in it one year and damn near won it, and oh, Miami's been that motherfucker since 2004 and ain't even.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can't really say too much because they did beat us pretty good the last time we played them. But yeah, as good as they were, the fact that they haven't been able to win that conference since they joined it. Yeah. That's insane, man.
And that's like I had this conversation with many people, man. It's like the level of competition matters. I mean, you could play a whole bunch of bum ass teams and look really good, but what happens when they go up against one of the big boys, I just don't. I honestly believe that Miami is one of those programs that are historically overrated.
Yeah, this guy, this breakfast time guy says we won the ACC, and he is a Pitt fan. But no, I guarantee if we were in the ACC this year, we'd be the ACC champs, not Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, your only loss was to Cincinnati and the team that made the college football playoff. So I can agree with that.
But going back to Miami, Coldest Brian says Miami's record is like 30-30 since that 2017 matchup between us and them.
I mean, every year we always got to hear, "Oh, the U is back," and what do they do this year? Well, they go out and get their ass whipped against Alabama in the opening game.
But yeah, I'd like to really know what happened with that program.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. The level of competition increased when they came to the ACC.
Well, it's just, and what I mean by that too is, they're in Miami, in a state where it's nice weather all year round, unless you get like a hurricane or something.
Well, the problem with that is nobody down there really cares about Miami football. There's a reason why their stadium is always at least half empty. Nobody gives a shit about that program.
Yeah, it's crazy because that used to be the talk of the town back in the day. I mean, aside from the Dolphins, of course, but and of course, eventually they were going to have to join the ACC or somewhere else anyway, because I think the Big East, they went back to being a basketball conference only. Oh, what year was it? What, like 2014 or something? I think that was the last year of football in the Big East.
Fuck, I don't know.
Because, like I said many times, the Big East still exists, but it's basketball only. It's the original, like the eight Catholic school teams, and I think they added Creighton and. But anyway, all I know is it's basketball only now. They don't play football anymore. So like all those teams that were in it for football, Miami, Louisville, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, they all had to go somewhere else. And so it was going to happen with Miami anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It's just amazing how things have changed with a program. I mean, you could even say the same thing about us, but I don't know. What more can you really say about it?
At least Notre Dame is in the college football playoff era. At least they've made the fucking playoffs. Miami is not even sniffing that.
No, that's true. We can at least say that we've gotten to the playoffs. We've actually accomplished something as far as that.
Yeah, and Miami's still a good ways away, man. Like until they're able to recruit along the lines with the Clemsons and with Florida State, they stand no chance, like zero chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Florida State's down right now, but yeah, they've historically been pretty good, and they got a national title in, was it 2013? So, I mean, they've had more recent success than fucking Miami has, and Miami can't even do nothing when Florida State is at its worst.
Wait, you said Florida State won it in 2013?
Yeah, it's 2013, 2004, 2013, 2004, something like that. That was when they had Jameis Winston as their quarterback.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's see. Yeah, I think you're right. I just want to see it for myself because I
remember they beat Auburn in the title game.
2014.
Okay, yeah.
2014. That was Florida State's last national title. And then before that, I think it was 99?
Yeah.
So yeah, It's amazing how the tide can turn sometimes with programs, and they go on down years, and then, but it just shows you can build yourself back up.
Yeah, it's crazy talking about Florida State, and I've always said this. To me, I find it crazy that as far as college quarterbacks now, not talking about what they did in the NFL. I'm just shocked that nobody ever mentions Chris Weinke as far as one of the top quarterbacks of the 90s, dude.
Oh,
that motherfucker was nasty, man.
Yeah, he was good. And wasn't he like 27 or 28 when he won it all with them?
Yeah.
He was kind of up there in age.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember if it was all from injuries or what.
Yeah, because they lost it in '98 to Tennessee, and then they turned around and they won it in '99 against Virginia Tech, and then in 2000 they lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's right.
So, right. I mean, why is this man not discussed?
I don't know. People seem to think that just because you don't go on to have a successful NFL career, that what you did in college didn't mean anything. That's not true.
Oh, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah. Okay, I was going to say this earlier when we were talking about Heisman winners. Look at Eric Crouch from Nebraska and how good he was at his time there. He won the Heisman Trophy, and when he got drafted, I think by he was either drafted late or he was an unsigned free agent by the Rams when they were still in St. Louis. Well, he switched positions to play receiver, and I think he retired before training camp was even over. So are we going to say that his legacy is tarnished or just diminished everything he did because he didn't make it in the NFL?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean,
because he's another one that people aren't talking about, and he was really good at Nebraska.
I think he gets overshadowed by Tommy Frazier.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
But there's no reason Chris Weinke doesn't get any attention because that dude was an absolute beast.
Yeah, he was really good.
I mean, so what was that? He went to 3 straight national championship games and won 1. I mean, at least
something like that. Yeah, it was my junior high days. I know that. But yeah, he. Let's see the only time that he won it. The crazy part is he wasn't even the MVP of that game.
No, he wasn't. But hey, one thing he can say he could say he beat Michael Vick in college.
Yeah, and what a battle of two top coaches too, Bobby Bowden and Frank Beamer.
Yeah, man, that was back in Bobby's monster days. It was tough to beat him at that time.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
But then he also won 1 in '93. And that's when he had Charlie Ward as his quarterback.
Well, and the crazy part is Bobby Bowden. I'm glad you mentioned that. He had already been at Florida State for like 30 years as their head coach, and that was his first national championship.
Yeah, and nowadays it's like these fans want you to win immediately, or they want you out.
Yeah, and that's not right. That's not right. I mean, as much as I hate what Brian Kelly did to us and leaving for LSU and all that, I'm still gonna give him credit for the good things that he did do here, even though he didn't get over the hump. And bring us a national championship or a major bowl victory. But you can't just ignore. I mean, yeah, that sucks, and people, rightfully so, should take notice of that. But you can't just ignore the good stuff a coach does do for you. Because I mean, before Kelly got here, and I've said this a million times already, we had a mess of Bob Davie, Ty Willingham, and Charlie Weiss. So ever since Lou Holtz left, it was nothing but disaster. And then Brian Kelly comes in here and gets us back to places that, well, we were shaking the dust off of things because we hadn't been to these places in so long, and we weren't used to seeing it. So you got to give a guy credit for at least getting you to those places that you had not sniffed in a long ass time.
Yeah, he didn't win it, but at least he got Notre Dame to a national championship game.
Yeah, it got us into the playoffs when the format came about. Got us back. Got people talking about us again. Got us back in the conversation to compete for national championships, in which under those previous three, we were no way we were in the conversation.
Well, that's one of the things that kind of pissed me off about Georgia fans is like after Kirby, didn't win a national title in his first 3 years, people were already calling him Mark Richt 2.0 and that he needs to be gone. And I'm like, you stupid motherfuckers. Like you do realize in only his second year, he got us to a national championship game by going through the playoffs. You idiots realize that, right? So that's something Mark Richt never fucking did. And I was like, you do realize it took Nick Saban 10 years to win a national championship. It took Vince Dooley 17 to win a national championship. You motherfuckers have no patience. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, I wish they would play football year-round too, but that's not the case. Okay, so when one season ends, you're just going to have to wait for the next. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. That's all I can say.
If you look at it, it's like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Okay, Kirby won a national title in only his 6th season, dude. These stupid fucking fans don't realize how rare that is.
It's very.
Kirby had no head coaching experience before he came here. He was a longtime assistant with Saban, and before that, he was with us. During Mark Richt's early years, people don't understand that Kirby was on our staff during our 2000 5 SEC championship team. He was on our defensive staff before he went to Alabama. I mean, so he's had success as an assistant, but he had no experience as a head coach. And in only 6 years, he's been to 2 national title games. He's won 1. He's won practically every major bowl he's been in. And we're talking New Year's 6 bowls here. What do these fucking fans want?
That's exactly why they're fans and not doing the job themselves. I mean, yeah, sure. It's maybe I've been guilty of that too. I get on Ben and I's show and I go on a little rant about how pissed off and they should have done this and they should have done that. But I couldn't do that. Who am I to really, in a way, who am I to judge? It's just, I don't know. Fan emotion is so ridiculous. There's what else can you say about it? It's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, I just lost my shit on these people. They're calling Kirby Mark Richt 2.0, which is ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, what I try to do is when I go on a rant or make a criticism, my criticism is never comparing myself to them. When I make a criticism, it's criticism while making a to their peers, not to myself. It's criticism and comparison amongst their peers. Because I know I couldn't coach a football team. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, man, these college coaches, I mean, think all what they got to do. I mean, they're out recruiting all the time. They got to deal with the transfer portal. I mean, these guys have so much responsibility. I mean, they're not getting
They're not seeing their
Much
families a
sleep at
lot.
all. These coaches are going 24/7.
Yeah, they're not seeing their families a lot. There's constant stress on them. I mean, how some of them are able to keep their shit together is beyond me sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, and look what it does. Look what happened. I mean, like Bear Bryant, when he finally retired from Alabama, passed away 4 months later. And you know that was from a lot of all the stress too from 30, 40 years.
Well, that's kind of, and I know he talked about it. That's one of the reasons, Madden retired as early as he did. I mean, his statement was he gave everything he had to the Raiders organization for 10 years, and he straight up said, I just don't have any more.
And it was a smart move. Because it's like the toll that it takes on all these guys for their whole careers. I mean, people don't realize the work, really all the work that it takes, especially at the college level. I mean, I think the college level is more grueling than the NFL.
It is. I mean, that's actually been talked about several times.
Yeah, because I mean, you're. I don't know where to begin with it. I mean, like you said, you're not trying. Obviously the big difference is you're not really on the road recruiting like you are in college. Obviously the NFL, you can just openly offer a guy a check and that be that. And if he accepts it, he accepts it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Move on to the next one. So there's still a lot of work, but it's a little more laid back.
Yeah. The college game is definitely more stressful. I will say that. I mean, dude, when you're recruiting, like for example, Kirby Smart, you're recruiting somebody over in California, you got to fly all the way over there. You meet with the parents, you talk with the kids, you visit the school. Immediately when you're done, it's like, oh, I got this other target I'm looking at down in Orlando. Let me go fly over there. Dude, they are all over the place.
Yeah, so it's jet lag city. So I mean, it is. I mean, I don't think the word stress does it justice.
Kirby said it best. If you're not out there recruiting, somebody else is. Like Kirby is a recruiting monster. Like Kirby is on it.
Yeah. And that's what Marcus Freeman is starting to do at Notre Dame. He has been hitting that recruiting trail hard. I mean, he already was before, and I think that's what was a big turn on for the fans and for the university is that he is a great recruiter and he has a great track record of that. So you just know that since he became head coach, he has stepped that up a few notches. But yeah, I mean, as far as coaches go, I mean, like I said earlier with Brian Kelly, yeah, I'm pissed that he did what he did, but it wasn't because he was a bad coach. It was just the timing of it. It was really bad timing. But as even I've said it myself before, you are not going to see any coach at a program for 20, 30 years anymore. I think the closest one is Kirk Ferentz from Iowa. And at the end of the day, going back to Brian Kelly here, at the end of the day, can you really argue with him for being being offered a $90, $100 million contract? Well,
a lot of it too, it depends on the success of the coach. If you're winning, you'll probably be there for a long time. Look at Saban. He's been at Alabama now for a good little minute. His first
like 15 years
season was 2007.
Okay, yeah, so about 14 years.
Mark Richt was with Georgia for 15 seasons. So, I mean, of course, Mark Richt started falling off though. But if you're winning, I think you could pretty much stay there as long as you want.
Yeah. If not, then you're gonna be kicked to the curb. And that's the thing. Like I said with Brian Kelly, that's what it was. People, even the haters knew that he was not a bad coach. But it just goes back to the fans being impatient and really demanding too much. And I think the biggest problem with fans, not just in the Notre Dame fan base, and Ben and I's friend and colleague George Bashura said it the best. A lot of these people like to live vicariously through these kids and even the coaches. They think they're entitled to a championship, and really they're not. It's the kids that are putting the work in, the coaches that are putting the work in, not the fans. And if you can't respect that much and base your fanhood and not base your fanhood off of championships, then get the fuck off the bandwagon.
Yep. And I know I don't think I know I haven't mentioned it, but you might have, I guess, heard it or whatever. But I think we've got our own we've got our own Rudy story that could happen in the next 20 years, and it'd make it into a movie with Stetson Bennett.
Yeah. Well, see, that's where what you and I have so much in common with is we cheer for different teams, but we have so many similar situations that we deal with and things that happen on our respective teams that are so similar. That's the crazy part about it, man.
Yeah, I can definitely. I mean, they just recently did a movie about Kurt Warner, and it's kind of the same situation. This dude goes from a grocery bagger to league MVP.
Yeah. Oh, I knew the story before the movie even came out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Everybody knew the story, but the fact is they did the movie. So, and of course they did a movie for Rudy. So who's to say 15, 20 years we won't see a movie titled Walk On?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm not trying to dog the story of Rudy, but the actual Rudy Rudiger, he actually really wasn't that much of a liked guy on the team. I don't know if you've ever heard the stories of about the actual Rudy, but
I've heard a little bit.
It's not the actual story of the real Rudy Rudiger. It's not as magical as the movie was, but of course, we all know Hollywood's going to put their own spin on it to make it a great story.
Oh yeah.
But apparently, when he was carried off the field, which that part was true, but the two guys who carried him off on their shoulders, they did it as a joke.
Mm.
And then he also said that like they make Dan Devine out to be the bad guy, which was not the case at all. He was going to put Rudy in the game, but he was going to put him on offense, and Rudy says to him, "No, I'm a defensive player." So Notre Dame had to score a touchdown to get him into the game.
Well, I guess
So I'm saying there's a lot of differences.
Yeah, but the I guess the idea is still the same though. I mean, he goes, from a walk on, to actually making it, on the team and then making it to the field.
Yeah. No, it's a great story. I'm not saying otherwise. It is a great story, and I do have a Rudy Rudiger autographed jersey here in my room/office, and yeah, it doesn't matter what the real Rudy was like. It's still a great story, and it's one that a lot of guys do strive for, and yeah, it's great. It is. There is something very magical about it.
Yeah, that's why I say, I can see something being done with the Stetson Bennett story. I mean, going from a walk-on, he transfers to a junior college, he comes back to Georgia, still gets overlooked, becomes the starter, and leads the team to a national championship. I mean, if that's not a Cinderella story, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely made his legacy at Georgia, and I know maybe there's a lot of douchebags in that fan base that have been saying things they've said about him, but the true fans know that he made a really good legacy for himself, and he's gonna be I'm trying to think of the right word for it. He's a legend. I'm just gonna say it. He is a legend. He's gonna go down in history as a legend that did what people thought was the impossible.
Oh yeah, he'll never have to buy another varsity hot dog in his life.
Hey, now the varsity, that was some good food, man.
It was. I'm saying that he'll never have to buy anything again.
Oh! You meant like, yeah, he's gonna get comp. Yeah, okay. I thought there was something you weren't telling me, like he had to live off of the varsity hot dogs or something. That's what I thought. That's what I thought you were saying.
Yeah, he.
I'm a fucking idiot. maybe it's just because we've been on here for over 3 hours, and I will give me a break. I have my dipshit moments. Yeah, because I thought you were making it sound like it was a bad thing for him to have a varsity hot dog, and I'm like, what the fuck you talking about? That was good shit right there.
No, he's definitely he's definitely going to go down in Georgia lore. That's for damn sure. And yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I mean, we all know our defense was historical this year. We all know this, but at the same time, if JT was our quarterback, I don't think we win it. And I've said that all year long.
Probably not.
Our best chance to win was with Stetson, and those throws that he made in the fourth quarter, I mean, holy shit.
Yeah. He stepped up big when it was really needed. It just it was magic. It really was. So, well, anyway, Magnum, it's getting to be about that time. I forget that you're an hour ahead of me too on the East Coast, and you probably want to get to bed.
Yeah, it is getting pretty late. Work does come early.
Yeah, I'll be back there soon enough. Probably another 3 or 4 weeks. But no, it's always nice to have you on, and maybe next time you're on, we can talk a little bit about the USFL coming back.
Oh boy!
Did you know about that?
Fucking leagues that always try to come back, and it just never works, man.
Well, I mean I will say this: it could have a better chance if they don't try to compete with the NFL. And I think the year before when COVID hit, I thought the XFL was doing a pretty good job because I was actually enjoying those games.
Well, and then I remember that league, the AAF, tried to come in, and dude, I don't know, man. I just don't have any faith in any other league succeeding. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. That's the way I'll put it.
Well, I think what was it, the American Association of Football or something like that?
Yeah, the AAF.
Yeah, I think that's what it stood for, American Association of Football. But anyway, yeah, I think where the AAF failed was they didn't really have that impact. Because what the XFL did is they tried some new rules with like the kickoff, and it was just a better ran operation, I think. But the thing is, the fans with the XFL, when it came back, they were getting into it. People were enjoying it. It was actually getting good ratings. Okay, Mike Peterman says the Alliance of American Football. Okay, I was wrong. No, I mean, all I can say is I enjoyed watching the XFL. Ben enjoyed it, and there were a lot of people who were actually enjoying it. So I think when with the USFL, if they don't try to do too much and just try to put a good product out, people will watch it.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. It's just the track record for these leagues are just not good.
Well, I'm just glad they have spring football happening this year because I know Ben and I are going to need something to talk about along with Notre Dame's off-season recruiting and the spring game, and so yeah, there's a positive for that much at least.
Yeah.
But, I'm good. All I'm saying is I'm going to give it a chance. It wouldn't be right to not at least give it a chance. The only thing that I'm pissed off about is that they're bringing back original names. There's 8 teams, and I'm surprised they didn't bring back the Chicago Blitz.
Yeah, I don't know. I may watch a game or two or something like that. I don't fucking know.
I think if I had to choose right now, I'm going to say it comes down to either the Houston Gamblers or the New Jersey Generals. But I'm edging towards the Gamblers because those 2 teams, they are bringing them back. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. Real quick, to answer this last question, Cold as Brian asks me who I think starts for Notre Dame. Buckner. I think it's going to be Buckner. If he improves his passing game, he's a starter. If not, we'll probably see another 2 quarterback rotation with him and Drew Pine. But anyway, probably a good point to end the show, Magnum. It's always a blast to talk to you, my man, and this was fun tonight.
Oh hell yeah! I have fun with good shit tonight.
Yeah, we'll try to make this a more regular thing.
I'm down.
So, me too, definitely. So, on that note, everyone, thank you for taking time to watch. Even Mr. John Waffle the Pest, you at least added something positive. I'll give you that. So, on that note, everyone, I'm NDSean45, and for my good buddy Magnum, God bless you all. Have a great night. And Magnum, don't just take off before I end the broadcast. So,
all right.
So we'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one, everyone.